All right, what's up, Unnamed Movie Car Podcast listeners? My name is Zack, and before we get into this special episode, no, it is not Saturday. Today is a Thursday, and today is a special Thursday here in America. It is Thanksgiving. So this episode was actually pre-recorded way back in April 21st, actually, and it features me, of course, my dad, and my uncle / my dad's brother, George. So it's very nostalgia-filled. If you grew up in the 70s and 80s, this podcast is for you. We talk a lot about that stuff. We talk about my uncle's car history, and we talk about a couple movie cars here and there, but it's more so just a fun, laid-back, chatting about nostalgia type podcast. So if you're into that, this one is definitely for you. Like I said, this was pre-recorded, so we make a joke of it saying that it actually is Thanksgiving. It's not actually Thanksgiving, and originally this podcast was going to come out the Saturday after Thanksgiving, but we moved it to Thanksgiving proper. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys are enjoying your families if you celebrate Thanksgiving. If not, I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
All right, welcome back to the Unnamed Movie Car Podcast. We have a special episode for you today because it is Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving was actually a couple days ago, but it is Thanksgiving week, so happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy
hey,
Thanksgiving.
thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
We have a
Appreciate it.
special guest on the pod.
Yes.
George.
Hey, thanks so much.
That's it. So this is my brother George.
My uncle.
Yes.
For those of
That's how
you
that
keeping
works.
track at home with the family tree.
Those of you scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
First guest on the pod, too.
All right. So
what can I say, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, we wanted to do something special. For
When I heard you were
Thanksgiving.
talking cars, I had to get involved.
Okay.
Are you going to keep up this radio voice the entire time?
It depends on what you want to do. I could, you know. I
feel
was
like it's strenuous.
a
Yeah.
DJ.
He was a DJ.
Yeah.
I don't know what he
For
called.
what?
Exactly.
He was. He was for.
I was a DJ in college.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a
And
DJ.
WKDI out in College of DuPage in Glen Ellen.
Wow,
I
look
was
at
doing
you.
news traffic and also filling
Hey,
in for the
George, we
Jays
got-
once in a while.
We got weather on the 10s. Okay,
Exactly. In
George.
fact, I
All
got
right,
arrested on the
super.
air once.
All right. He did. He
Wait,
got arrested.
wait.
Seriously, yeah.
What?
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah,
You got arrested on
I-
the air, on the radio air.
Naperville was celebrating its sesquicentennial, and I decided I was not going to grow a beard because
Right. That was the
then I
thing.
would have to change my name on the radio to Patchy Fog because that's how to come in. But no,
Yeah.
and so
Right.
the police chief of Naperville,
Yep.
along with my father, showed up at the radio station and presented me with a citation.
Wow.
Yeah. So
On
there
the
you go.
air.
Yeah.
On
Well,
the
I
air.
can assure you this podcast won't have any arrestings going on.
Well, I
unless
don't know.
anyone here
I
has
don't-
warrants.
Hey,
Speak up now or forever hold
I
your
don't know,
peace.
Maybe.
I think anyone listens to this will be arrested.
Oh, hey. At least your attention will be.
Hey.
Hey, ho.
We're here all week.
So let's talk
Yes.
movie cars,
All right.
because this is what the podcast is all about.
Absolutely.
What are your
Well,
guys' favorite movie cars?
It's just going to be a little bit different than our normal.
Yeah,
thing
we're not
because
focusing on a
not a-
particular movie
Right.
today,
Yes.
or show or anything
Yes.
like that. So
Not
we're just chatting. Happy
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
So happy Thanksgiving. Gobble gobble. We are in Plymouth Rock.
We're
we
recording
at,
at you live.
we're-
Forgot to tell you where we're recording from today. We are live from
So-
Plymouth Rock.
And before we go too far into it, shout out. We might as well do the shout
out to Craig Lieberman.
Shout out.
Shout
We
out
gotta
to Craig
shout him
Lieberman.
out, Craig Lieberman.
We shout out to Craig Lieberman every show.
Every show?
Every show.
Every
So
show.
that's
I believe since the second
I
one.
think so.
I don't think.
Did
we
you
shouted
know
out
that
for-
Craig was involved in the Fast and Furious series?
You know what?
Yeah,
I think
really?
it came up.
Okay, so
I
maybe-
think
It
that
did.
part of his
did.
All
his
right.
past
Yeah.
came
Oh,
up.
that's nice.
Um,
Good.
And that the
Okay.
original movie was actually not made to be a car movie?
No.
I didn't know. We
So
did
wait,
not talk about
no,
that.
serious?
The Fast and the Furious.
Wait.
What was it meant to be?
It was-
A
Craig,
sandwich
hello.
movie?
These guys are not
This
listening to
is
your
a
YouTube
serious-
videos.
All right.
It is
eh?
serious.
All right.
Wait. So explain. Don't just
Yeah.
sit
No.
on that.
So
What do
tell
you-
us. Yeah.
No, so what happened is that the first movie was actually supposed to be just an action movie. It really wasn't supposed to be all around cars.
Really?
And so they did it with the cars and such, and then it became such a huge hit that they decided that they were going to go farther with it. And that's why if you look at the first movie, and actually shouting out to Craig, if you go on his YouTube channel and you watch some of those videos, he talks all about the fact that there's so many inconsistencies that car guys, like probably most people listening to this podcast, would pick up on.
Right.
Well, you
we knew that.
certainly
I
did.
mean,
You
the
certainly did.
inconsistencies there.
I'm
but
not as
Yeah.
good as you are, Zach,
Thank
with
you.
the inconsistent. No, I'm not
Thanks
with
for
the
recognizing
inconsistent.
it.
Okay, geez.
It's important that you
Wow.
you
okay.
know it.
But
Go
you
on.
have to understand that we are a car family. So George,
Yeah.
George and I actually went to auto mechanics class together. We actually George
Mechanic A.
George is mechanic A and I'm mechanic B, and so we actually learned how to take apart engines. We
Yeah,
took
you
an
guys
engine
learned
class,
on what
yeah.
Model Ts, or was that Model A's by the time you
Stop.
guys were in school?
You suck.
I'm just asking.
We
a
built the
question.
first
Wow.
engines.
yeah, exactly. Jeez.
We're the Wright
Holy
brothers
cow!
of
Yeah.
The Wright brothers of what?
the gas engine.
Of the gas
engine, gasoline engine. Yeah, we totally pioneered. No, George and I actually went to COD and went to engines course. You got an A and I got a B, and I was pissed.
Well, that's because I had replaced an engine in my
Yeah,
car.
true.
Although I think that was actually after
was-
the class
yeah.
that I.
But you did.
attempted
Does that
that.
count as a
Yeah.
ringer for that class? So you
I
came in
think
with
so.
this
Yeah,
knowledge
exactly.
of. It was
how-
the MR2 you replaced the engine in, correct?
The MR2, and also I pulled one out of a minivan and replaced it. And I'll be honest,
That's
I
gotta
would
be
never
tough.
do it again.
That's that's
What
gotta be
minivan
tough.
was it? Do you remember?
I was a red '85 Plymouth Voyager.
I was gonna say if it was a Chrysler product, I don't blame you.
And yeah, I probably did
Wow,
not
yeah.
need to replace the engine, but I took it
Yeah.
apart. I had, all the.
Was
I
that
had-
in the Honda garage?
It was in the Honda garage.
Was it?
So again, that's kind of it's a little bit off track, but they used to have
Like
school.
we don't ever get off track.
Well,
Never
like,
on track.
had school buses that the guy was an artist in Naperville, and he would bring the school bus in, and he'd paint school buses because art doesn't always pay the bills. But
right.
that kind of stuff does. But yeah, it was in the haunted one.
And that was the bucket of dead rats too, right?
That was the bucket of dead rats. But that's a story for another podcast.
You guys are throwing
That's our-
like, what's the bucket of dead rats?
Oh my goodness. So I have had ever since I was young, I've had an aversion to rodents because of the fact that the way that they scurry around and such. I think it all started when there was a piece of property out on Burlington.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't Burlington.
It
It
was,
was it was the other one.
was
Just
Plank
called
Road.
the property. Yeah, on Plank Road.
Yeah, Plank
And
Road.
so there was this old little house, and this was back when the houses were just literally one room.
It was a shack.
And so went into the shack, and we were cleaning the shack out. And so we were kind of goofing around, so
Yep.
we were sweeping it out. So just as a joke, I take the broom and I hit the wall, which had like a
Oh,
felt,
no.
and mice scurried all over the
yeah,
place.
There was
It
field
was
mice
bad.
everywhere. Yeah, it was bad.
So
Yeah.
I don't know why, it's just kind of followed me around. So in this case, what I had done is that while I was working on an engine, I actually put some of the coolant in the bucket, and don't do that at home. And so I had coolant in a bucket, and I'm like, oh shoot, okay, well, you know what, I need to clean this up. And oh man, I left some.
know where this story
I left
goes,
some
but please
rags in
continue.
So I reached my hand in there and kind of like the planes, trains, and automobiles, like those aren't rags.
Yeah.
So that was
it was
bad.
dead bloated mice,
It was-
right? That
no,
looked
dead
like
blood. Those are rats.
dead
Actual
bloated
rats.
rats that you
Actual
thought
rats.
were rags, and you
Yep.
grabbed.
And
So that is the danger of working on an engine. You
That
might
would've
get
been-
you might get a bucket of
well,
rats.
the whole thing about it is that when you're working on an engine and stuff, trying to keep all the parts separate and all that. It's I didn't have a real nice garage that I could
No.
have all the stuff.
No,
really
that was
nice
a haunted
and neat.
garage. It was a haunted
Yeah,
garage.
that
hail of
wholeheartedly
rats.
would have been the last day of my life. 100%. I would have just dropped
That's,
that. I don't even know. It's probably like a 2.4 liter out of the Plymouth Voyager.
Yeah,
Something
actually,
like
it
that.
was.
Yeah?
Good. Yeah.
Non-turbo,
Yeah.
baby. 'Cause
Wow.
they made a
see?
turbo
See,
version.
he knows his cars. Yeah.
But I would have just dropped that engine block on myself and just been like, "Take me now, Lord."
It-
Because if I grabbed a dead bloated rat,
It was bad.
No.
It was
no,
well because
I'm done. I'm out.
we live like 2 blocks from the river. So I mean,
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
growing up, there
Yeah.
was rats all over there. But
Yep.
in downtown Chicago, plenty of
Oh,
rats
yeah,
down
I
by the
mean,
river. But those were like dogs.
Yeah.
But man,
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, we have grown up with cars.
Yes.
And we have, we've always, and I think we actually get that from our dad.
well, yeah, he liked a lot of cars, but he didn't really
No, you didn't have
didn't
any.
have a lot of really
You know,
nice ones.
It's always
No.
been peculiar to me. Why did Grandpa want a Model A? Because
He-
for
he
those of
actually
you listening,
didn't.
he wasn't a car guy. He
Well,
did not.
yeah.
He liked cars, I guess. But
Well, he
like,
liked them, just like
yeah, but it's
he
like-
liked. By the way, he liked police cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
We
did.
always
Wow.
had police cars. Always
Shout
in
out to
family.
the two that aren't here, Nick and Colin. That
is true,
gene
yeah, that-
carried down.
right.
Yeah, just
but you're
a little
right.
bit.
Yeah, but he didn't. It was mom who decided to get him
Grandma,
Model
for those of you listening
Yeah,
at
I'm
home.
sorry. It's
Oh, those of you keeping score
Yeah.
here.
Someone's
Yeah, so-
frantically trying to draw a family tree in crayon and just failing.
well,
I can just imagine now the graphic that goes with this.
Yeah, that's right. It's sad. If
but
you're
yeah,
doing that, by
so-
the way, it's sad.
She just got him the Model A?
So, as I recall,
Go ahead, the story, and I'll correct
do
it.
you know the story?
Yeah, I
Oh,
actually do
okay.
know the story.
All right, so go ahead. You probably know it better than I do. So go ahead.
Yeah, so my dad would always, he really loved Model A's, but he liked to look at Model A's, and I think it was more of a, wow, that's really nice, because he would do that with a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like at
definitely.
parades and
Yep,
stuff.
Yep.
For whatever reason, he really liked Model A's, though. And so there was a couple of people in town that had them, and he would go for rides and such. And so at one point, my mom was trying to figure out what to get him for their anniversary.
25th anniversary.
25th anniversary, absolutely.
Yep.
And so
1985, I believe, correct?
Yep.
yeah, wow,
84,
great
85.
memory.
So I just know that
Well,
we...
How did you?
Well, I know that our family got the Model A in 85
Okay.
for the 25th wedding anniversary. That's the
Oh,
story that
I see.
know.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Did
Yeah,
not
so-
know that. Same year as your RX-7.
Same, yeah, that's the reason I
So,
remember
yeah.
it
and that's
so
the year I
easily.
bought the MR2.
Wow,
Is it?
85.
You're 85.
And that
That's
song
big year.
from Bowling for Soup has that sweet 1985 song. It's called 1985.
Yep.
You guys don't know
Well,
that song?
and no,
Springsteen, Madonna, way before. Okay, no, you guys don't
No,
know
I
that.
no,
clo- I
we're
clo-
giving him stares that
All
you
right,
wouldn't
yeah.
believe.
I close
here.
my eyes and it's like I'm sitting there with
okay.
the
All right, go on.
Eyes. No, and I had a Chevette that then I traded in for an MR2 and got a ticket 2 hours later. But that's a story for a little bit later. So what happened was that my mom had worked hard. She had some stock options, and she sold those stock options in order to be able to afford the Model A. And she worked with a local Model A club in order to be able to get this. So what happened is that they decided that they were going to have all these Model A's come over and say, okay, well, this is, we're going to go for a ride. And so they had the whole club come over. And so my dad got in, and at the end of it, one of the guys presented my dad with the keys from my
Wow.
mom.
I
didn't remember that part, but you're absolutely right. He didn't know until the very end.
No,
I
he didn't know. He was
assume
surprised.
that key that we have that actually I drove the Model A for like an hour today.
Yeah.
And I never knew how to do anything with Model A until I watched your video. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you driven it?
I've only driven it once.
Oh wow.
We could take
I've
it out.
probably put I would say close to 40 to 50 miles on
Well,
it
it's
this
kind
year.
of a daily driver.
Yeah,
This
I know,
year.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I took it like on a 30-minute each way drive. I took it
Yeah.
another 30-minute each way drive. I drove it for probably about an hour today.
Cars need to be driven.
Yeah, that's the thing is
yeah.
that once it gets warm, that thing just cruises. I
Well,
love it.
it's always funny too when you talk to people and they're like, "Oh," and we say, "Yeah, we keep our cars for a long time. We have a Pacifica from what 2005,
2004.
2004,
That's an
And-
understatement.
and we have a 90-year-old car."
Yeah.
So
Which
yeah.
it's honestly surprising
Yeah.
that Pacifica has held on as long as
Yeah,
as
that's
it
a
has.
pretty. We got lucky because
we
that's
got
a pretty
lucky,
solid.
and also we
pretty
don't
solid
really put
car.
miles on it.
No, no,
it's
it doesn't
at,
have
like,
much.
What, 110,000?
Maybe.
I've put
Wow.
I've put close to 20,000 on my Mazda
it's
since
16
last
years old?
August.
Yeah, I know.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and everyone
Yeah.
in our
Crazy.
family likes to drive. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Oh yeah, we do.
Colin likes to drive. Nick likes to drive.
We're a very
Yes.
driven family.
We are, yeah,
Oh, God.
absolutely.
that was terrible.
That was terrible. So let's not do that as a soundbite.
Yeah, but so is that all you know about the story of the Model A? Is that
That's all I know. That's all I remember about it.
because the
We should
sad thing
capture
is
more.
we should I don't know where it came from. I don't know
Oh.
who owned it before.
Right.
That
Like
would
that.
be very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we don't know.
because I mean I was thinking about it. I'm
Al
like,
Capone.
Yeah.
there was some guy that drove this thing in the 50s
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a 20-year-old car,
Yeah.
as like probably a beater in the 50s.
Yeah,
and
we
then,
don't.
I don't know, like you know what I mean? It was probably a cheap form of transportation.
But what's interesting, I don't think people realize how many Model A's were built.
A lot of
4.4 million.
Yeah.
Was there?
There's a
In
lot.
4 years, 4.4
It's
million.
crazy.
And there's a ton of them still out there.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
one of the most popular vintage cars.
I was
but-
telling someone stopped me at the gas station or something, and they're like, "Is this a Model A?" And I'm like, "Yes." There's so many body styles of
Yes,
the Model A.
yes, there are.
Because
Yes.
ours is the 4-door, which is actually really, really rare.
Oh,
Really
okay.
rare. Low percentage
Yeah.
of cars were actually 4 doors. the main style was the coupe, which looks like ours, just shortened a little bit, and it only has 2 doors, but it still has a back seat. Then there's the 2-door Roadster, which was the convertible, and the 2-door Roadster with the rumble seats.
Yes, right.
Oh, gotcha.
The
That's
rumble
super
seats out back.
dangerous,
There
yeah.
was a pickup truck.
It is.
I mean,
dangerous.
literally a rumble seat was called that because it was over the rear axle.
Well-
Any
Yeah.
bump you hit, you're,
Yeah.
I'm not sure
getting
how
jostled
it was
around.
more dangerous than the well in the Volkswagen, but
Well, in the Volkswagen, that
what a
was
well
fun.
is there's a little space behind the back seat, which you really like. You're supposed to put a briefcase or something back there, but as kids, we'd climb back there and.
Oh
ride
yeah.
back there.
Are you talking about like a Bug?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's a Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one of the trio that I haven't driven yet. I've driven a Carmen Ghia and I've driven a bus, but I haven't driven a Bug yet. I need to find a
You
You
need
have
to,
to.
yeah, you need to find
It's-
a bug, but yeah.
In fact, I've been looking for ones that are for sale just to like drive it. For,
You can find them not bad.
Yeah.
Not like a real nice one, but you can find for like $8,000.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
we
not
totally,
bad.
we totally need to look into that. By the way, speaking of the Model A's, though, I want to give a shout out to Paul Shin. Paul
Oh yeah, shout out Paul Shin.
Paul Shin.
You need
has,
to go on
yeah,
his
you would
YouTube
appreciate
channel.
it.
Paul
Okay.
Shin.
Yeah.
He's a
Cool guy.
Model A aficionado.
Yep.
He knows everything about Model A's. Anything you want to know, go to Paul Shin's channel.
Nice guy.
PaulShinn. I did a podcast with him a little while ago. Down to earth guy. He teaches you literally
very
everything
nice,
about
yeah,
Model A's.
yeah.
Wow.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's great because when I watched his videos, one of the things he talked about was everyone makes the joke about, oh, you can get it in any color as long as it's black. And that actually is not, that actually wasn't true. It was only true for like a year
With the Model T.
with the
that
Model
was-
T,
yeah.
Right,
not
Model
the
T.
Model A.
Yes.
Which was
So the Model T.
1919.
Yes. So it was like a year or two, he said. And it was, and then he said, what did he say? Like the Model A or Model T, I think, when it first came out, didn't even have black as an option.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that was what he was talking. So he explained.
Yeah.
He knows, like you said, he knows everything about it, but super nice in the way he presents information, all that. So very cool.
Yeah. So shout out there.
Yeah.
But what other cars have you owned? Let's get into your
Yes.
car history.
Oh,
a little bit, 'cause
man.
Yeah, go through 'em,
We've
like-
talked our car history into
Yes.
the dust on this show.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
if we go back, the first car that I ever had was a red Volkswagen Bug.
Was it?
Yeah.
That was the first one?
That was the first car I
Holy
ever had.
cow.
And
Okay,
Mid
I
70s here, like in year.
66, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
a 66.
Yeah, it was
And
cool.
that's the car that I learned how to drive stick on.
Yeah.
It was
And I
fun.
learned how to do that.
It was
and
fun.
that was there's a road near us, and my dad just gave me the keys to the car and said, "Go learn how to drive stick." And here's kind of how you do it. And then I got to the top of a hill,
Oh, yeah.
which anyone who's driven stick
Yeah.
will be able to
frightening.
go along with this. It's
Frightening.
very frightening. And I was
Yeah.
able to figure it out. It was up at Chicago Avenue in Charles.
Ah.
It was crazy, and the car started to line up behind me.
Yeah.
So
that's the worst.
It
That's
is
the
the
worst.
worst.
Wait,
Oh.
Chicago and
Charles. So it's like top.
because I got stuck on Chicago when I was learning stick shift in a Nissan Versa.
Yeah,
and
it's-
people started lining up behind me, and I just
Oh, yeah.
dumped the clutch and did a little front wheel drive burnout
Chicago,
going up the hill.
Charles
But-
is by the old bubblegum factory. Remember?
Exactly.
Yeah, right
So,
by- yeah.
but that's you need to learn how to drive stick. I mean,
Yep.
driving
Yeah.
stick
Yep,
is
yep.
such a wonderful experience. And a lot of people are like
It
so
is.
afraid of it.
Oh.
Europeans know it, but
Yeah,
it's,
oh yeah, it baffles me that Grandpa knew how to drive stick shift.
Really?
I don't know why that's a hard concept
Okay.
for me to
Well, it's-
grasp.
Yeah.
But it's just because I don't think of Grandpa as like banging gears and
Well,
like,
he
dumping
actually,
clutches,
when
you know?
he was in the army, though, he
Right.
drove trucks
Oh,
in the
yeah.
army. Yeah. So
The
did.
idea that the Jeeps were
Yeah.
manual, the fact that we were fighting the Nazis and throwing
Yes.
gears
Yeah, yeah,
is a
yeah.
beautiful
and if
idea.
you've ever tried to drive those things, the play in the
so
steering wheel is so bad that
yeah,
it's bad.
it's probably almost as bad as a first gen RX-7.
okay.
yeah,
Probably.
there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, I have the sloppiest steering box in the
Yeah.
world. The first gen RX-7s have a steering box, not a steering rack, like every car after 1955.
All right. So what's the difference with the box?
The box is literally it's a gear. It's like a transmission, almost gearbox,
Okay.
like in the engine bay. That I don't really know how it works. I don't plan
Okay,
on learning how
nice.
it works because
Yeah.
I'm going to swap to a rack from a second
Okay.
gen.
Yeah.
But basically, they have a bunch of slop from the factory.
Okay.
They'll always have slop in them. You can rebuild it perfectly with a rebuild kit from Atkins Rotary, shout out, and
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
still have slop
Yep.
in it. It's just the pickup trucks traditionally have steering boxes, older pickup trucks.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
cool,
it's just a very rudimentary way of, which is why the first gen RX-7 always made sense to me. Was that my first car was the '98 Ram,
Right.
that had a steering box and a solid rear axle. The first gen RX-7 has a steering box and a solid rear axle. So it always just made sense to me. I had a one-piece drive shaft, all this stuff that a pickup truck really has, but it's in a sports car form, where traditional sports cars now have two-piece drive shafts, and they have, live rear not live rear axles, independent rear suspension, all that stuff, blah blah blah. So
Okay.
yeah. You guys taking notes?
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna
Taking
say,
notes?
that, to be honest with you, I didn't hear a word you said. I was actually messing with the audio. So.
Well, there's two things about the Volkswagen that were kind of cool. One of them was the fact that the heat was either on or off. There was there's no warming up. It'll either burn the hair on your legs, or you're freezing your tail off. And then the second thing is that it's one of the best snow cars. Most people don't know that. It's one of the best snow cars that was ever built. And then from that car, then I graduated up to the '69 Chevelle.
Man,
So that
you
was
would
your
have held
second
on to
one.
that.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. Well,
actually
if I
not
had
really
held on
now,
to my
but-
Porsche, that would have been
Yeah,
Well,
we'll
okay,
get there.
so-
We'll
worth
get there.
110.
So you had the
Yeah.
Chevelle.
Yeah.
Before you had the second Chevelle that you raced in the race, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So my daily driver was a 307 Chevelle, '69 Chevelle, and then I decided to race Demolition.
Yes.
And for the Demolition, I found a '68 Chevelle,
Oh,
which is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because '70 was when they changed the body style on that. And so when I was on the track, I knew exactly how to work it through slides. I knew how the tail would go back, all those kind of things. So it made it really easy. The funny part is going from the Volkswagen to the Chevelle, it was the gas.
God.
Is that you went,
What year is this about?
this was 70, 77, 78.
Okay, so right after the gas shortage and everything. A little bit after that, no? Or still?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because I know
dealing with
emissions
that.
cracked down in '73. That's like when emissions really started. And we started with the gas fuel crisis and everything.
Honestly, when I was driving, I don't remember the gas crisis.
Yeah,
So it was really before us and our initial
I think-
driving.
Well, I think it was because that was Jimmy Carter. So I'm trying to remember what years that was. Okay.
That was...
Good thing this isn't a president's show.
yeah, the unnamed president's
Right,
podcast.
yeah. No, we... I remember that was a big deal when I was in 5th grade. And the election was when I was in 5th grade, so that was 77?
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit
Something like
after.
that.
So it wasn't as big of a deal driving it.
Right.
And to be honest, at
V8.
that age, it was not.
Yeah.
I didn't even care. And the funny part was that going back to the Volkswagen, it had like that little crappy radio that Volkswagens come with. And the first thing I did with my first paycheck from my first real job at Wendy's is I bought a cassette deck to put into it. And they had these giant speakers that would go back in the well that I could take out. So if I went to a forest preserve to have a soda with a friend or something, they could pull us out, play Frisbee, whatever. And that was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, didn't you have an 8-track in one of your cars?
I did have an 8-track, and
Click, click.
I
Click,
thought
click.
the songs all had a click, click, and that in the middle songs they would just kind of go down, and they would click, and they would come back.
I forgot that the volume would go down.
Oh yeah, the volume would go down, and
my first RX-7, the radio did that.
Did?
The cassette player would click, click, and it would go low.
Oh.
And then the song would continue.
oh wow,
But it did it like every minute, so I don't know if this... It was very broken,
that
is what
may
I'm
be
saying.
broken.
I think that might be
Oh,
broken.
yeah, no, this was like terribly broken. This
No,
was
this was
awful.
a typical 8-track thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
And
okay.
my best friend in high school had a '69 Chevelle convertible.
Wow.
And it was cherry. I mean,
Who
that
had-
thing
who had
was
that?
Mike Honorborn.
Really? He
Yeah,
had a
Shout
69?
that was
Shout out Mike, hope you're doing
absolutely beautiful. So until I threw up once on his dashboard, but that's
it happens.
I warned him, make
Yeah.
me do a shot of Jack.
Yeah.
It's going to come right back.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens.
But no, it was fine. We had a lot of fun. That car was so nice to cruise around in and such. And
Sure.
then
Especially with the convertible, probably no back seat belts.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
no backseat
I think
belts, yeah.
the grungiest car I had in high school was for a very short period of time, for 3 months, I had a station wagon. And probably so short that you don't remember it.
I love station wagons with a passion.
Do you really?
It was the old
passion.
school station wagon, yeah.
Yeah.
And so my buddies would go in there, and we actually one night we went down to the high school parking lot. It was snowing, and so we were kind of doing donuts and stuff. I think the statute of limitations is done here, but so one of my buddies was in the back seat. And the door flew open. He fell out, and we ran over his leg. And but he was fine. So
what are we talking? Are we talking like a Buick Roadmaster? Talking like a?
I think it was a Chevrolet.
Was it silver?
Yes.
See?
Yeah.
I do remember that car.
And
I do remember.
You shouted out a random color. Don't give yourself that much props. Come
It
on.
wasn't a guess like that.
But
It was the color of it on the rainbow. See, I knew I remembered it.
And then I threw a rod in that car. That was
Did you really?
Oh, that was bad.
What a Chevy.
And that's hard to do. That
been.
was an 8-cylinder. So
Yeah.
you know, to do that.
Yeah.
Wow, you really beat on that car.
I'm
man.
sure it was
That's
a.
just like-
I will guarantee it was a Chevy 350.
Yeah,
Which
probably
the
was.
fact that you
Probably
threw a
was.
rod in a Chevy 350.
Actually, I think you're right.
How?
I don't know. Actually,
Well,
that's the
let's-
thing. Because I drove it as hard as I drove any of the other cars.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you ever put oil in it?
Hey, I did know.
So yeah.
As long as it's leaking, it means it still has oil.
Yeah, exactly. That's why
and
that's the
back
Model
then,
A.
those cars did leak a lot.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
for sure.
Oh, every car did.
Yeah.
That was
But
normal.
so and then when I went off to college, I didn't have a car up at college. All I had was a little 250cc Yamaha Exciter motorcycle, and I would I would ride that in the winter.
Yeah, I remember. Oh,
250 isn't terrible. That's a decent size. No?
It's a little above a dirt bike.
Yeah, but like you can get around.
But it got around campus and it was a whole lot better than the buses and such. So
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, the one thing is that vehicles, the transportation, that independence, and I've always been big on that.
Definitely.
And I used to park it in my bedroom in the apartment building. So
Can't beat that
'cause it was
parking.
not a great neighborhood.
That's
so
indoor parking right
and
there.
I wrote it into like the Animal House thing. I wrote it into the house during a party. So
Oh,
All right,
nice.
there you go. Indoor
Nice.
parking. Yeah.
yeah, it was
That's all
indoor
good.
parking.
It's all right. It's all good. Covered
But
parking.
So after college, first car back out of college.
oh man, so first car back out of college. Oh, that was the Chevette. So that was a
was
little.
a decent car. I like that.
It was a nice car, but it was really not built very well because I slid into a curb once and it like took out the whole front right.
I think
That
I
happens.
sensed you. I was in
Yeah.
Lexington a few years ago, and I saw a mint Chevette
Yeah.
in brown at a Walmart
How
in
many?
Lexington, Kentucky.
How many doors?
Wow.
I believe it was a 4-door actually.
I
So-
had a 4-door.
Yeah, so it
Oh,
was
yeah.
like super
I love
rare.
that car. I love that
I'm
car.
trying to
because it
remember.
was
I don't
so-
even remember whether I had a 2-door or 4-door.
I do. You had a 2-door.
Yours
I
was
remember.
yellow, no?
No,
Was it
white.
yellow? White?
It was
White.
white.
Got that wrong.
Mine was white, but I remember we had to jump your car once.
Yes.
It was. But other than that, it was a really good, solid, always ran car.
Yeah,
It was always-
I think the one consistency is that no matter whether I had a Chevette or a Porsche, or BMW, I always kept them clean. I always
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Always,
I
you
was
did,
always
yeah.
really big on that.
You did. You
And-
always kept your car.
Well,
good.
because it's part of respect for the vehicle and respect for things you own and that.
Yep.
But the funny part is going from the Chevette to the 85 MR2.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
Oh, wow,
I remember
yeah.
the first time I saw that car in the showroom, and then I went to the back where they were prepping it and told them, don't put any of your stickers on it and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
And I saw the car, and it was like a shining moment where, yeah, exactly. That's
It was
exactly
like
what it
a
was.
blue, right? Like
It
a
was
dark
blue. Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
just
cool.
gorgeous. One of my
Yeah.
friends was an artist, and he put pinstriping on it that just
Yeah.
really brought it out. And
AW11, baby.
It was like
Oh.
a sky blue though, wasn't it? Or was it? It was a
it
lighter.
was lighter blue.
I
yeah.
only
Lighter.
have one picture of it, and
Yes.
it's the
Yeah.
picture of your first-gen RX-7 in your driveway.
Yeah.
And the
Oh.
MR2 is parked behind the tree. Back when Grandma and Grandpa had that huge tree in their
Yep.
front lawn.
Oh yeah.
So it was in
yeah.
the shade. So I assume
Gotcha.
that's the only photo I
Well,
think I've seen of it.
So I was looking at Fieros at the time too, and I think I made the right choice.
Yeah.
did.
In
You
hindsight,
Okay, to be fair, people throw shade on the Fieros, and I used
Yeah.
to too. I drove one last summer. If you get the V6, if you
Yes.
don't get the Iron Duke, the 2.5 liter Iron
Oh,
Duke
yeah.
is literally a mail truck engine.
No.
All of our mail trucks
wow.
have 2.5
Really?
liter Iron Dukes in them.
Wow.
Yes, and they've
Okay.
had them since the
right.
90s.
Wow.
But the
Okay.
V6 Fiero actually isn't bad to drive.
No,
It's a lot more
this-
spacious than an MR2. I
You-
tell you that much.
You were
Yeah.
almost hesitant there, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. No, it's not bad. It's
Okay.
an American car, so it doesn't corner as much as as well as the imports do.
right.
Yeah.
But it's still a fun car to drive. You have a V6 behind
Yeah.
you. Like, it's a manual. The
Yeah.
shifter is like 8 feet tall.
Well,
you know.
your
Yeah.
friend had one when you had your MR2.
Mike Underborn, the
Yes.
one who had the Chevelle.
Yes. Yeah, he
so
had the Fiero.
then he went to the Fiero.
Go-kart.
2 shout-outs for Mike.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then we used to race SCCA. So we would take it down. There was a go-kart track
that's
and
right.
Oh, wait. No, I have that footage. Is your MR2 in that footage?
You do, yeah. My MR2 is in that footage as well as Mike's, and that's also where the Porsche
Rolled over.
rolls over.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
everybody pushed
yeah.
it back out to the side of the expressway so that he could get his insurance money. So someday, if we get that footage, can rat the guy out.
There's a
wow.
State Farm agent listening to this going,
Exactly.
wait a second.
Well, wait a minute. It's the dog of the State Farm agent because that's our
yeah.
demographic.
Our key
Yeah.
demographic is dogs that are home alone and someone accidentally left the TV on.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
our main
that's
audience
the
here.
main audience. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of droning,
yeah,
so it
exactly.
kind of makes
so,
sense.
the dogs, feel good that we're.
The AW11 MR2, the first gen MR2, is the last generation
Yeah.
I have to drive of the MR2s, and I've been I found one. A guy offered me a red one, and he sent it to me, and he's like, "Well, the engine's next to it right now," and I'm like, "Okay."
That means it's going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
I was
'cause
gonna
that,
say, I was like,
that
"Please
happened to
email
me
me."
for.
yeah, but
when
you
it's
did.
done.
You swapped the engine, right?
I
He
did.
swipped it. He did in fact swip it.
Yeah.
Swip it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what you just said.
But
I
actually,
did not
it
say.
was-
I said nothing of the
Play
story.
it back.
Exactly. Well, it's kind of cool because I took the car from birth to death.
Yeah.
You did.
So
You did.
I was the only person to ever own that car, ever
Yeah.
drive
Man.
the
Yeah.
car really. So
How many miles did you put
I
on
think it got up to about 165,000.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh!
he
I
drove
I
it a lot,
drive
yeah.
cars.
I I thought you owned this car for like 3 years.
No,
No,
I
it
owned it
was
for a lot
over.
longer than that. And actually, that was also the car where we had an MR2 club, and we actually met down at a
yeah.
gas station, and we had to push my car to the
Nice.
event and then all these other MR2s. Now, this was pre-internet, where there was like Usenet groups and stuff. Somehow, we were able to. Yes, the internet was used for other things.
On CompuServe.
Shout out CompuServe.
No, it wasn't even CompuServe
Man, if we could get a CompuServe sponsorship on this
Yeah.
podcast,
or Prodigy.
That would be
Prodigy.
That's
That one
it.
had lots of colors.
That
It
was
was
the other
very.
big Prodigy.
But no, that was a lot of fun because we got people together, and that's
Yeah.
why your RX-7 group really kind of inspired me because, like, wow, it's exactly what we had done back
Yeah.
then, and getting people together that just enjoy vehicles and stuff
Oh,
is
yeah.
just so
Yeah, big-
awesome.
big-
yeah, I'm
time.
very excited for this year's
Yep.
RX-7 meetups that already happened now because of Thanksgiving. Yeah, I'm super
Yeah.
excited for the
Super
events that
excited.
already happened this year.
It was amazing.
They were so good. I'm just going to give a couple different takes and we can cut in. They
Exactly.
were great. Hold on. Silence, please. They were great. They were okay. They could have been better. All right, we'll splice in whichever one of those.
I
we
can't
feel.
believe they were canceled.
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, should we give takes for like natural disasters?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I can't believe a tornado ruined it.
Yeah.
I can't believe there was a second pandemic.
Yeah.
I can't believe the robots took over.
We had to
All
put a mask on the car.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah, all
we'll
that stuff
splice
goes.
in one of
Yeah,
those.
all of that all works. Yeah.
So when did you end up selling the MR2?
I ended up having like one of those salvage dealerships. I sold everything off of it.
Wow.
And I picked it clean.
Yeah.
Actually, that was why when I watched you do that with the
Yeah,
RX-7,
with
I was
the-
like, wow,
yeah.
you're doing the same thing. So, yeah, I dropped everything out. I sold all the pieces and parts. For a while, I kept the driver's seat. And then I never got around to turning
You
it
ever
in.
wonder if those parts are on an MR2 that's running right now? have to wonder,
I would
right?
guess it probably is
Yeah,
because
it could be.
there was like an air intake.
Yeah.
And I had sandblasted the air intake at work
Wow.
and sold it. But this was kind of fun because I was selling parts to guys that were like in Europe and stuff, as well as all over the country. And it really, back then, it wasn't, like now, it's no big deal to,
Right.
sell stuff online and
Probably
that.
felt
but,
like a businessman, like a wheeling.
yeah, I
and
wasn't
dealing.
making. I was
Yeah.
broke back then, so it was like
Yeah.
didn't have. Then I went through that dark period where I had just basic transportation cars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
those, but you know what? I still love those cars. It was just, early on when I was dating this one girl, she had a Mazda 626.
Oh, love me a good 626.
Actually, it was a really nice car.
Love me a good 626. The predecessor to your Mazda 6.
Exactly.
They just cut 2 of the numbers off.
Well, and actually, I had a Mazda Millennia.
Oh, that's right. I do
So,
remember
yeah,
that.
that
Yeah,
was,
exactly.
Wow.
But in between, so that's when the Voyager, of course, kids come along, and Colin, shout out to Colin, shout out to Caitlin, shout out to Brandon,
we love you.
Tanya, and my daughter Tanya, she threw up in almost every one of my cars.
Good.
Nice.
So yeah, the
Her
MR2
signature
got
move.
christened.
It's a way to
It
christen
was.
them, yeah.
Thought she was going to throw up in the back of my Pontiac G6 2 Christmases ago.
Really?
I tell you what.
Yeah.
Well, there may have been more involved there than we know. So,
Okay, alrighty.
but so that's the thing is that with any of that stuff, once you get kids and stuff, and if you don't have a little extra cash to be able to have a toy.
Yeah.
Then you end up with like the Voyager, which actually wasn't a bad car at all. I mean, the van it did the job and such.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had an old Mazda. I want to say it was a 626.
There's a
it was
323. There's a Protege.
Well, it was
there's
like It was like the Maxima, which was that's the Nissan version,
right.
but
Probably would have been the 323.
maybe it was a 323 because it was old. It got a lot of miles on it, and I ended up giving that to my brother-in-law.
There's a GLC. Was it a
no.
GLC? No.
No, that would be the great little car,
Yeah.
as it was, which
I
it was not that.
almost got like 3 years ago. I almost bought. Not even bought. There was a Mazda GLC in Chicago.
Yeah.
4-door wagon. That
Nice.
some guy was trying to get rid of with a title, and it was free if you had a trailer.
Oh, wow.
And
Bring a trailer. It was the original Bring a Trailer.
I wanted to get it so bad because people rotary swap them.
Yeah.
They just drop in the rotaries, and it's a rotary wagon. Which
Wow.
would be
Wow,
so
that
cool.
would be cool. That would
My
be
dream
very
is
cool.
an RX-3 wagon. The RX-3 wagons are they're unbeatable. But
Well, that Mazda, what was fun with that is that I had the good fortune during the early years of the 2000s is that I, was able to come into some money through my job, through, stock options and such. And so that was the car, and it was a piece of crap. And I drove it into the BMW dealership, and they wouldn't even talk to me.
yeah,
And I'm like, dude, I can buy one of these things on the showroom cash, and you're not going to talk to me, so screw you. So I went online, and that was right when there was something called Auto by Tel, which was
it sounds vaguely familiar.
yeah. So it was 1998, 1999. So what I did is I went online.
Yeah, you were 2 years old, Zach. Just want you to know
So
that.
don't worry about
I was
not
very
remembering
into
it.
cars at that point.
But I talked
always
to him, and online I set this whole thing up, and he's going, "Okay, what current cars do you want to drive?" And I was like, "Well, I'd like to drive a 5 Series, like to drive a convertible 3 Series, and maybe even a 7 Series." And so he said, "Okay." He goes, "Saturday, why don't you come over? I'm going to have 3 cars ready for you. Those 3 cars are yours to drive for the day, and all I ask you for is don't drive any of the cars for any less than 3 hours." I'm like, okay. I go, "Where is this at?" It was the same dealership that the guy was giving me crap. And I told him, I said, "I had a really bad experience there." He goes, "Trust me on this." And so
Don't drive them for any less than 3 hours.
than 3 hours.
Wow,
Okay,
Because
yeah.
he wanted me to really know. So, I drove the 5 Series, and it was nice, but it was kind of, I don't know.
What year is this again?
It would be 1999.
Okay, so we're looking at like an E39. Okay,
Yeah.
5 Series. Okay,
Yeah. And
Reviewed a
back,
couple. Very nice.
it was a nice car.
Yeah, they're nice.
And I drove the 7 Series was a little too big for what I was looking for. And then I drove the 3 Series. And so it was a 328i.
Okay,
Yeah. No, it was a 318i.
it was
Yeah,
a
you
318
had
because it was the
318.
shortened one, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so it was 318i convertible. It was the first year that they had the automatic retracting top, and then so it would go under the boot. The boot would come down. So you could do it. It'd take 30 seconds because, of course, BMWs have a timer on the radio. Yeah,
Seriously?
yeah, they have a timer.
Wow.
So I did that because then I would know whether I could put the top up or down at a traffic light. So that was how I did
Gotcha.
it. And actually, one of the first stops I made was at your house.
Yes, I
and
remember
so
that.
came over. Actually, you went for a ride at it when you were only 2,
Wow.
but
And there it began.
and it was like, well, it also began the process of when I would buy new cars, I would bring them over to your house to,
which is
show.
funny
Which is
because
great.
I reviewed a 318i.
Love that car.
Great
though.
car.
98.
That's a great car.
I reviewed it in the neighborhood of our old house.
Really?
Oh, wow.
In that, the person who owned it lived in our old neighborhood. So I was driving it around in the old neighborhood. It was just, that's really surreal now knowing that I went for a ride in one.
It is.
When I was 1 or 2.
That's really bizarre. I've always looked for a 318. They're hard to find. I had a hard time finding a 318. Like the 320 whatevers or
325.
325.
325
Those
ISs.
those are around, but
I
not
have
the
a friend who
318.
can find you one. If you actually want one, he can
318.
find you one tonight.
I want a bug.
I know
I
you want
really
a bug.
want
I
a
want
bug.
a bug
I want
really
a bug.
bad
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I really do.
I really want a bug. Let's
All
go
right.
halves on a bug.
Let's go halves on a bug.
$4
There you
each.
go.
That's it.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
do it.
go,
okay.
might
All
go
right.
3 ways on it. We'll see.
Let's do
All
it.
right, there you go. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I mean, because that's a lot of fun. But
It is.
I have to say, overall, if I think about all my cars, I think the BMW 318i convertible was the most fun overall because I
Overall,
loved,
yeah.
I had the 75 Porsche 911S.
Yeah, you totally skipped the Porsche. We didn't
Yeah.
even talk about it.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. I'm trying to put them together in my brain.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when I bought that, whether it was right before. It had to have been before the BMW. Because the thing about
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the Porsche was not a daily driver.
Oh, right, of
It
course.
had the big fat tires on the back. It was like driving a go-kart. I mean,
It was a
and
75 Porsche 911
S.
S.
Yeah,
Okay.
turbo.
So that is okay.
And my girlfriend's son has said that she thinks it was actually 930. So
Jeez.
I don't know whether
Yeah.
it was or not. All I know is that I bought the car for like $12,000, and right now it would be worth like $100,000 if I still had it.
Yeah.
So,
Easily.
but that's
Wow.
look, we all can go back to cars that we've had
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the 911S was fun. I worked downtown. Worked at a company called United Insurance at State and Wacker.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's
so
right,
Gary actually went with me one day to work. We went downtown, and
Yeah.
we were on
Yep.
Lower Wacker, which you can't really do this anymore. But
Definitely not.
we took Lower Wacker, and that thing, you could take turns as fast as you want. It was not going to skip a beat.
It
And
was weird.
I
yeah.
think Gary probably almost wet himself because we took there's a final turn to get back onto the Eisenhower, and I did it about 65 miles an hour, and it was pretty intense.
I always thought it was getting
amazing.
off of the Eisenhower going onto Lower Wacker.
No. It was
Oh, because
No.
I always
No.
take
No.
that corner in my car, and I'm doing like
Yeah.
45, 50, and
No.
it's like
coming
I'm
out
like
of Lower
barely holding
Wacker.
on.
It was kind of
Yeah.
like the Batmobile
Yeah.
coming out
Yeah, okay.
and then getting on the Eisenhower.
Yeah, that thing, that
so
thing could fly.
that
man.
was
thing, yeah.
it was a very, very, very fast car. It had a racing clutch in it.
Okay.
And so the racing clutch, my left leg was about 3 times the size of my
Yeah,
right leg.
sure.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was
Yep.
fun to drive on open roads. It was horrible in traffic
Oh, I can't imagine.
because number one, it's air
Yeah.
cooled and all that. And it just it was a powerful car. But the BMW, what you were able to do, and it was stick, but you were
Okay.
able to just take it anywhere you want.
BMW shifters, especially from that era, too,
was
feel
beautiful.
amazing.
And it's a short shift.
Amazing.
Whereas
okay.
the 911S, that thing was a really
Yeah,
long
rowing
shift.
a boat.
And so my son's the only one who ever drove that car besides me and the family.
Mm-hmm.
He had just turned 16, and so we drove around the neighborhood and such. So
That's
was
cool.
that was interesting.
That is
but
cool.
Man.
yeah, so actually that would have been 16 and 84. Yeah, this is the math show. So I think that was right around 2000, right?
Probably.
84, 94.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2000. So that's about the
Jeez.
time. So that was right. Actually, that was after the BMW.
Okay.
So yeah, that car was great. I would have it in the garage, and one of the things that any of the cars of that age are infamous that if you don't keep them on a trickle charger, that, they don't start and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's what actually the situation was, but I was wrong. I went out to take out garbage to the garage one night, and I noticed my oldest daughter was sitting in the car with the cordless cell phone or a cordless house phone, and she was using it as her own personal phone booth. That's why, and the light was on, and that's why
she kept killing it.
Yeah, she kept killing it. So
was there a bucket of rats anywhere?
No, there was no bucket of rats. That was
okay.
the last of the rats and such.
That
so.
reminds me of the story that Mom actually told me about her growing up.
Yeah.
They had a refrigerator out in the fridge.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They had a refrigerator
in the garage.
Out in the fridge.
Yeah, they had a
You
fridge
know,
in
that
the
was real
fridge.
popular.
It was Pimp My Ride. They had a fridge in the fridge in the fridge.
Right.
But they had a refrigerator out in the garage.
Yes.
Very popular thing in the Midwest.
Yes.
Very.
Yes.
Usually had beer.
Right.
Yes.
That was, it was basically a beer
Or
fridge
Thanksgiving,
Right.
or Thanksgiving.
as we know.
Happy Thanksgiving this week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Or the top of like a wedding cake or whatever. It was just like kind of like an extra manila white refrigerator. Anyway, so Mom told me the story of they all got sick in the house one time, and they kept getting sick, and they couldn't figure out why. They left the meat out in the refrigerator in the garage, and it was hooked up to the outlet that goes to the light switch.
Oh,
So every time they were turning the
kidding.
lights off in the garage,
Wow.
it was turning the refrigerator off.
Oh, man.
But what would happen was in the morning, turn the lights back on, everything would refreeze. So during the night, everything would go rotten, and then it would refreeze. So you take it out, and you're like, oh, it's still frozen. They'd go in it, and they were just cooking rotting meat.
That's nice.
That's nice.
So it's just one of those things you wouldn't really.
That reminds me when I was working at a help desk where the electrician, I did third level support for McDonald's back office computers, and the electrician, as a genius, had wired in the back office computer to the same circuit that had the front signs lights.
I'm surprised it wasn't the fryer.
So every night,
God.
every night they would turn it off, and then in the morning the computer would be all screwed up, but it would be turned on. And they're like, "What's going on here?" And they would call us. So, but yeah, it is funny how that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
And
you just don't even think about it. You think it's ghosts. You think it's just the world or whatever. And
Yeah.
that's like, oh no, it's just.
Oh, it's you
There's a
turn it
very
up.
factual reason for it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So man, I wish you would have kept that Porsche. I mean, just for my own greedy.
Wow.
Um,
yeah, we can all.
If
I'm
you only
telling
kept
you.
it for 20 extra years,
Yeah, tell me about it.
do your nephew a favor.
Right.
Very solid.
They-
Yeah.
That
Although
you
I think
didn't even know existed then.
my kids
No,
probably
wait,
would have
you
fought
did,
over
you
that
did.
one.
I existed.
At that time?
Rude.
What?
Rude.
No. Did
didn't-
you?
Well, you said you owned it around 2000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
2000?
I existed.
Yeah, you were
I
three.
had
Yeah, in
existed
fact, I
for
think
3
there's some pictures of the kids near the Porsche.
Really?
just near it. You can go within
Well,
35 feet of it.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
anyone's driven that kind of a car, one of the things that you notice is that it has 4 seats, and the reason for that was insurance reasons.
Yeah.
So it would bring
Oh,
down the
yeah.
cost of insurance. However, if you had legs in the back seat, that was
Yeah.
a detriment. So when my 2 youngest, Caitlin and Colin, they would sit in the back seat, and we would go to the donut shop on Saturday mornings and meet some other Porsche enthusiasts
Right.
there. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they could sit in the back. They were one of the few that could
Oh,
sit in
they
the back.
loved it too. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the best.
Yeah,
So,
which is great. But you're right. You have reviewed cars where, and I'm pointing to you, but you can't.
Right,
see it.
yeah. No one can see that.
No one can see that.
It's very visual.
You have reviewed cars where they do. The back seats are a joke.
Well, actually, I'm literally thinking I just finished editing. The video has been out long at this point. I just finished editing a Porsche 996 review. So it was a 99 911, and which we have a connection to. We had a family friend that had a 996.
Yes.
In
yes,
midnight blue with a
yes,
tan interior, but this was
exactly.
silver with a black interior.
That's cool.
And I remember riding in the back seat of our family friend's
Yes.
Porsche.
Yes.
And so when I drove this car, I was like, let me see if I still fit.
Yeah.
Survey says I do not.
Yeah.
Because I have legs now.
Yes.
And
yes.
it has
You're-
posed a problem to sitting in the back of a Porsche.
You're taller than 2 feet tall. I
Yeah,
think is
yeah.
really the
So
issue.
I
Because,
can
yeah.
no longer sit in the back of a 911,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the Toyota 86s are just like that.
was going to
Camaros
say,
I
you've
drove
talked about that.
2 days ago a Mustang GT, a brand new
Yes.
Mustang GT.
Right.
Can't sit in the back seat of those because I have a head.
No.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
my
Right.
head is up against the glass. It's no good.
But that's the whole thing. Is you're right for insurance purposes.
Yeah, it was 100% for insurance purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the visibility. I rented a Camaro recently, and the visibility was like
Terrible.
non-existent.
Camaros
Yeah.
and Mustangs are good at their top trim levels. I would not bother with anything rented or it's not worth it. Like the
Yeah.
GT
Yeah.
makes 400 some horsepower. Like then it's worth it. Sounds really good. This one
Exactly.
had built-in line locks.
Oh wow!
You know what line locks are, Dad?
Don't know.
So it just locks the front wheels, like for braking, so you can just do a burnout. It's literally a burnout mode.
Really? It had that
it's
built
a
in?
built-in burnout
Wow.
mode.
Okay, that's
which
cool.
It's really to heat up your tires for when you're going to drag race for the grip, but like Mustang owners, let's be honest here, it's really for the Whole Foods parking lot after 10 o'clock at night. So really cool stuff now. But the rental cars are you can't see out of any of the modern muscle cars. Challenger's terrible. Camaro's terrible.
Well, you got plenty of vision in the Lamborghini that you drove.
Oh God, that was like being in a steel box.
It was. I test drove one.
Did you really? Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you test drive? It had to have been
it
a
was
Diablo, right?
I believe it was a Diablo.
That's a
yes.
fighting chicken, isn't it?
Diablo, yeah.
It was. I just wanted to test drive because, again, I had stupid money for a short period of time, and that's also when I was looking at a Batmobile.
Shout out to stupid money.
Exactly.
Yeah, shout
Hey,
out Stupid Money.
I'd like to see it come back.
Yeah. Exactly.
But no, that was fun. I went and I test drove the Lamborghini, and I laughed because it was a friend of mine has one, and it's like for him he loves it, but for me it's just I couldn't. I don't know.
Aren't they hard to drive? Aren't they different?
I didn't find it hard to drive. You just can't see anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that, for me, that was being an engineer by trade. It really, things have to be functional as well as beautiful. So,
well, you're also German, so
yeah, the
Yeah,
German
it's a
side.
German
Think
side.
about trying to move your house with a blindfold on. Like that's how scary it is.
Yeah,
Because if you
it
hit
is.
anything,
Yeah.
that was the scary thing. I drove a 2016 Lamborghini Huracan rear wheel drive V10. And I couldn't see out of it. And of course, it's the rear wheel drive version, one of only like 800 imported to the U.S.
Of course.
And it starts raining, and the owner's like, these are the original tires, and it had like
But
30,000
they're usually
miles.
good in the rain. That was the weird
Really?
part, is that my buddies was like really good. Like I thought it would be like freaking horrible. But and he knows how to drive it, so But for him, I mean, that was always his dream car, and I'm happy for him that he was able to make that dream come true.
Did it have one wiper? Isn't it like they?
No,
only
it had two wipers.
Did it? I
Some
thought
European cars only
maybe
have one wiper, or
Countach
some
only
people
is-
modify their cars to only have one wiper,
Yeah.
and those people eat crayons for breakfast because it's so stupid when people do that.
my car had manual wipers.
Oh God.
My
Kind
Chevelle,
of like the
my-
Blues Brothers, where
No,
you
it
have
was
the
the Chevy
string on the
Impala,
outside.
the '69 Chevy Impala I had.
What do you mean it had manual?
So the motor broke,
Oh, okay.
and I had no way to move the wipers, so I tied a string
Oh.
to the wipers and literally
Oh,
had
yeah.
to go back and forth and pull the string back and forth to make the wipers work. It was
so
bad.
I lost the rubber stuff. Finally wore out on one of my older cars.
Yeah.
And so I just took the arm off. So is that a modification to use one wiper?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's it, right.
What
That
people do, it's a
works.
really common thing actually on E36
Yep.
BMWs. So the 3 Series that you had, people do this. They modify it to be one single wiper in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is like, it looks cool, but what people don't think about is that it doesn't rest down at the bottom of the windshield anymore.
Right.
It rests like up like this.
Yeah,
So
it
your
doesn't-
passenger is just staring at a windshield wiper.
That's nice.
It's the
That's good.
stupidest
Little
thing
frustrating.
that people do.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but
That's
to
cool.
each their own, I suppose.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's not a whole lot of fun there.
no,
doing that.
there's some really dumb modifications, but
Yeah. But then, we got into, we bought my ex-wife's car. We bought I don't even remember what the model was. It was a giant Mercedes. It was 500
S550.
Oh, yeah.
S550.
Black
It was a
Mercedes
monster,
S550.
and it was the last year that they had like the bulletproof glass in the car. It was
Jeez.
heavy as hell. It had an early on cell phone. The built-in.
right. Yeah.
S550 was, I assume, a V8. Or
It
was
was
a V12?
giant. V8. No,
Okay.
no. I wouldn't
Because
buy
I think
V12.
I think it's the S600 that had the V12.
Yeah, and I'm sure I got robbed on it. I'm positive of that. It was like
really?
a sales guy's car. It was like 2 years old. And
It's a Mercedes. Everyone gets robbed.
yeah, and
that,
so
that 63 AMG that I drove,
Yeah.
sticker price of 170.
Yeah.
My friend picked it up for 60 with 40,000 miles on
Wow.
it. Less
Yeah, well-
than the guy took a $110,000 bath.
Yeah.
well, the ex-wife traded that in on a Durango after the divorce. So it was,
Wow.
yeah,
I hope
so-
it,
Wow.
for her sake, I hope it was an RT edition with
No,
the blue with the white pinstripes body kit.
and shout out to my son Brandon who did neutral drops in it and
Nice.
caused a lot of repair
Okay.
costs there.
Okay.
So,
Alrighty.
but he said it was really fast when he did that. So
Nice.
I don't know.
Good. Yeah, that's great.
But you
It
know,
was
Wow.
a Mopar. It was going to drop the trans one day or
Right.
later, but
Exactly.
he just
Right, exactly.
accelerated
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and before that we had a Dodge Intrepid, and
Ooh.
Oh, I remember
and-
that one. Yeah.
but it had the typical Dodge Intrepid problem where the engine just goes one day. It's like
Yeah.
it just seizes up. And-
Was it the 2.7? Do you know V6?
It was a 2.7.
Yeah.
Yes. So Brandon had taken
Big
it up.
brain over
You're
here. I
good,
know
Zach.
things.
You're
He is good.
Yeah.
I drove one last fall.
Okay.
You know, the thing is, it was actually a really nice car.
Yeah,
It was very
that
comfortable.
Was the surprise. I drove one with like 24,000 miles. This was
Yeah.
like a museum piece of
Was
a Dodge
it?
Intrepid,
Yeah.
which is weird. But it was actually a really nice driving car. It was solid.
smooth.
Yeah.
You get it out on the open road. It was great. It was very comfortable.
Yeah.
So, just I could drive it for a while. So, well, the thing is, we had actually traded it in on the Mercedes. And then I went through the paperwork and I found out they were screwing me so bad on it. I'm like, no, you're not taking that car for 12 grand. So
Yeah.
I went back and I got it. So
Okay.
got it back and then let one of the kids drive it. So, I mean, that was the thing is that, and then once it died, call the 1-800. Oh, I don't know what that song is. I tried to get it out of my head. There you
KARS
go.
cars
Oh, God.
for kids.
I actually would turn the
What?
channel on the radio when that would come on because it would annoy
For
me.
the
so
cars,
much.
Really?
cars
No,
for
it was
kids.
that bad.
I won't start.
Sold it to
singing
Cars for Kids initially and took
Gotcha.
the tax deduction.
Gotcha.
But no, I really did like that car. That
The
car
Intrepid.
Was, yeah, the
Yeah.
Intrepid was a good car.
That's good.
I
Nothing
can't
fancy.
I can't think of that without thinking of the Dodge Stratus,
Yes.
which then makes me
Right.
think of the SNL skit.
Yes.
of, I drive a Dodge Stratus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing is over the years, all the way the cars have changed and such, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I'm struggling with at the moment is that trying to find a car that I really like that excites me, and that I've test driven a bunch, but there's nothing that I got in and went, oh my God, this is it. This is the car I want. They're out there, but also I don't really want to spend 150 grand on a car. That's just
Yeah, it's
a little
true.
on my price range. at
Yeah,
this
that's
moment.
true. And your car's been great. You have a lot of miles on your car.
Yeah, so we had the Intrepid, and then I bought the Mazda Millennia, and then I gave that to my youngest daughter after I put 160,000 miles on it. I got oil changes every 2 weeks, and the guys in the oil change
Wow.
place were like, we're back again? I'm like,
Yeah.
yep. Because I covered Wisconsin from Illinois, so
Oh,
I
okay,
would
yeah.
drive a lot. But it was a very comfortable vehicle. And so I liked the Mazda so much. It was so reliable. I gave it to my daughter, and 2 months later, she totaled it.
Okay.
And then it was in mint condition, too. And so we even laugh about it now.
Shout out.
Shout out to Caitlin.
Shout out Caitlin.
So then I bought the Mazda 6. And so that was in 2009 because I was tired of driving, this.
Man, you haven't
kind
bought a
of
new car in what was that? 12 years?
Yeah, 12 years.
That's a,
Jeez.
wow.
And it's sitting right outside right now, and I
Yeah.
just did
Yeah.
200.
Outside of Plymouth Rock somehow.
Exactly.
Thanks
Yeah,
for taking
and-
it all the way out here to Plymouth Rock.
Exactly.
And it may be snowing, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
I haven't
just
looked out
crossed
the window.
220,000 miles on it.
Right.
Yeah, he had to
So-
parallel park it with the Mayflower.
Right, exactly.
There's a fantastic video on it, though, if you ever want to check
yeah,
it
there
out.
is. Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out to Zack.
Yeah, shout out my own channel.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out because let's talk about cars of today. Because
Well,
you
that's
wanted to
the
talk
cool
about
thing.
cars of today.
I did,
I
you
also
know.
really want to find a good car for you.
Well, that's kind
Yes.
of where I have a massive benefit here
Mm-hmm.
because if I have anything I'm even remotely interested, like the Porsche Cayenne,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, Zach, and what I really like, this is not kissing up, but what I like about your videos, the way you talk about them is the kind of way that I look at it. Like if there's too many frickin' buttons in a center console, no, thank you.
Oh my!
I don't need that.
It drove me insane.
Yeah.
If I sneeze and I change 3 different settings on the car, it's too much. It's just too much. But thank you for saying that. Viewers don't see it. I'm holding a handgun to him. But thank you for saying those kind words about me.
Okay, Zach,
yeah,
I'll give you better Christmas presents.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because that's coming up soon.
Well,
Christmas
talking
is a month
about
away.
Just a few months.
I'm 24 now.
That's true.
At the time of this release.
That was a great birthday too.
But yeah, it was a great birthday. It was a bad birthday. It was an indifferent birthday. No, the interesting thing about the Porsche Cayenne, I think you can agree with me on this, is that when you get into a Porsche, it's almost like it's like a long-lasting friendship. It's like you're hanging out with someone that you've known forever. You don't really have to. You could just be yourself, and like you just get in and you're at one with this other person or in this conversation, a Porsche. Yeah. Like every time I drive a Porsche, it feels like it was tailor-built to what I wanted a car to be.
Yes.
The Cayenne did not do that. It felt like a Volkswagen Touareg, of which it's based off of, with some Porsche parts thrown on it. The V8 was nice. It was a 4.2 V8. It was nice, and it didn't have the dual clutch transmission, which I would have liked.
Well, that's one of the things I'm struggling with, too. I don't want a 4-cylinder with a turbo. I want at least a 6-cylinder. I know.
You're getting slim pickings.
I know. So this is the problem.
Looking at, honestly, I really do like modern BMWs. If you can put up with their gaudy front grills. I really love. Yeah. I've always loved the driving experiences of just like a 3 Series. Yeah. Although I drove a 330i, 2020 330i, and it was the 2.0 turbo. But they do make a straight 6, so you can still find a straight 6. But that's going to be more towards a $50,000 area. Yeah.
But see, with that, I mean, that would be fine. And, I am actually, it's fortunate because that way, because you drive so many of them, you also have a good feel for the kind of things that normal people like or dislike in vehicles, because you have to, it's got to have that feel. Yeah. And when you hit the gas, I don't want to lag. I want it to go. Yeah. And that's, where this car I've got now, I learned a lot about it thanks to you, and the 0 to 60, which is, I don't care about top end. It's 0 to 60 is really where it's at.
Turbos will make up for lack of horsepower. Yeah. Turbos, in my mind, will never make up for lack of torque, because when you're idling, it doesn't add anything at idle. Turbos only help out at like 2,000 RPM, 3,000 RPM. Higher end. And so that's the biggest thing of like when you drive a muscle car. I just drove a 64 GTO. And you feel it at idle, it's rumbling, and you put it in a gear and you barely have to even give it any gas. It has that torque to just lift you off. You're never going to find that with a 4-cylinder turbo. Or I've been driving a lot of 3-cylinder turbos. Yeah. Like you just don't find that bottom end torque, which is nice about your V6 and your Mazda 6.
It's great. It's reliable. The 6 cylinders, it can take my driving, which obviously is kind of tough in that. So, because, that kind of goes to what we were talking about before, where if you look at cars that are in movies and such, one of the things that they have personalities, which tended to be the older cars. The older cars had a personality.
Herbie, Christine.
The front grills. Yeah. But the other thing is that all those cars that you saw with Herbie and Christine in that, they were cars that you would see on the road. Yeah. And so they were just, the Hollywood version of those cars. But it was something like you'd look at.
There was a Herbie in every neighborhood, pretty much.
Absolutely.
There was, yeah.
Yeah. And it was, I don't know, it was just, they're a lot of fun. Now the funny thing, that my girlfriend and I laugh about is the fact that my car is a black sedan that can be in any parking lot, and no one would ever.
It's the most invisible car in the world, like our
next
Pontiac
to the
G6.
The Pontiac G6
silver G6 on black steely wheels
was invisible.
It's
literally
invisible. As visibility cloak as we'll get in the modern age.
So, you got it. You want to make a statement with a car and that, and it's like, this is just okay. It's been fantastic for me. I can't complain one iota about it. But the thing is, with the next cars, like. Also for me, it's been challenging because I have to start considering more of an SUV style versus just. And actually, you know, your SUV is fantastic. Is that considered an SUV?
The CX-5.
Okay. CX-5? Oh yeah. Did you know that we got a new CX-5?
I do.
Okay.
That
it was bizarre.
A lot of people don't know because our new CX-5, we have a 21. We used to have an 18.
Yeah.
We got in the exact same color with the exact same interior with the exact
but
same wheels.
Everything was exactly
Why
the same.
screw with it?
Yeah.
We were very happy with it.
We love
well,
that car.
and when you did the video where you were showing the was the radar driving on it.
Yes,
I
love that.
No, it's both my car and the CX-5 have the radar cruise.
You know what radar cruise control is good for? You know what I'm going to say.
What?
When you're driving
hitting fire trucks?
No. No. When you're driving in a funeral procession. It's great for that.
Yo, for real, Grandpa's
Seriously,
funeral was a breeze with radar cruise control.
We turned on radar cruise control, and I just literally let the car go because you know how you just crawl along. It's like, come on, let's go.
Yeah,
come on. More speed. I'm almost there.
Yeah,
cool. Now got it.
And we were sitting in this really
That's a
hideous
golden earring reference.
Yes, that's wow.
Radar love.
Radar love.
Yeah.
Man, one of the best songs to drive the RX-7 too.
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
but yeah.
You showed me that song a couple summers ago.
That one, also Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider.
Yes.
Oh, that's another good one, yeah.
In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, which amazing
Classic,
Phil Collins song.
Oh, ZZ Top.
LaGrange.
LaGrange is one of the best.
I was thinking of She Don't Love Me, She Love My Automobile.
Oh, yeah, that's another good one by ZZ Top.
You have to go through the desert or some wide open area and put on well, either Jesus Just Left Chicago, but to me, you know, it's just ZZ Top, LaGrange going through a wide open area.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just
it makes amazing.
Money for Nothing's a good one.
Music that makes you drive fast.
Yeah.
Well, and like, when you guys were growing up in the truck, we had the B-52s.
Oh yeah.
We would play that over and over.
That's more of a poppy, like I don't have
Planet Claire,
Rock all of that stuff was just. That was just fun stuff. It wasn't like hard driving. It's just fun music to listen to.
Well, and then you had I remember this distinctly. It was a white CD that was just said 007 in blue pen at the bottom. And it was all the 007 theme songs.
Oh, yeah. We had all
put
that.
onto a CD, and we would listen to that all the time. And I remember distinctly, Nick and I used to fight over the middle seat because we got to use the radio. If you sat in the middle seat of the truck, you got to use the radio. But then Nick got old enough to reach the radio from the passenger seat.
Yes, exactly.
So he was like, "I'll sit passenger," and he could still reach the radio. And I was like,
so
"What
he
the
got
heck
the
is
window.
this?"
He got the window and the
This also goes back to the days when the radio was really important because that was the only music. There were no iPods.
There was no.
You had to listen to whatever typically your parents were listening to, which unfortunately for my brother and I, it was country western. It was
Sound of Music, actually.
And Sound of Music and that. But I think one of the funniest stories is that when we were in the Monaco and Eric Clapton song came on, Cocaine, and my dad just flipped. Oh, is he pissed off? He was, I can't believe you're listening to this. And then the funny part of it was that he actually met Eric Clapton in a Sky Lounge at Heathrow. And then he thought that was great. It was like, I don't think he put the two together.
Wow.
It was like, no, that dude's the one who wrote that song.
That is
imagine getting frustrated. You ready?
Yeah.
Over a song.
Well, actually,
imagine getting mad at like 2 minutes of musical instruments and some words.
Well, but that's the thing is that because somehow he thought that was going to like corrupt us forever.
Oh, yeah.
No, there was so many other things that did that.
Yeah, exactly,
The music was the least of the worries.
No, that was, that was.
Yeah, it was the childhood depression that really did the
pretty much,
1-2 punch.
There's a lot of,
never convicted.
Never, yes, Your Honor. Never convicted. Yep.
But yeah, driving songs now, though. I mean, I definitely do have a good driving playlist, but it's not anything like it used to be.
It's weird
There's
because
something about guitar.
It is weird, yeah.
It's strumming of a guitar.
It's too easy now.
Yeah.
Like on Spotify, I've got an MR2 playlist, which was all the songs I played in MR2. But there wasn't now I've got to get a cassette and I got to record this one and figure out how to put all these on there.
Yes.
And just get. or the CD and burning it on the CD. And once it's burned, it's not like moving it around.
There is something personal that's getting lost with Spotify is the fact that you guys had cassette tapes with Sharpie scribbled on them.
And
we did,
I remember the cassette covers we would do. So what we do is on the cassettes, there was like this little piece of paper that would be the cassette cover. And you could take that out and you would cut another piece of paper the same size. And then you could like do some sort of custom artwork or whatever on it. And that was kind of fun.
Well, I'm grateful. I grew up with the G6, obviously. I mean, I drove that thing for, 5 years?
You did.
Put 160,000 miles on it.
Between
that only had a CD player. It never had an aux cord because it was a base model. And so my friends knew me as having a huge binder of CDs, and I drew on the covers of them. And, like, it was funny because, like, I would find a new song, and then I'd burn an entire new CD of the same as the last CD, but the last 2 songs are changed.
Which is funny.
And so it was like iterations of the same ones.
I have found tons of those CDs.
Oh, I'm sure.
And there's so many.
Actually, I threw away probably about 25 CDs at the Jiffy Lube I used to work at. I remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was working there one day, and we didn't have any customers, so I just pulled my own car in and did my own oil change. And I threw a bunch of those CDs. And also, the week... No, this was the first month that I was dating Bella. I had a CD in my car that was like the saddest, like most depressive songs in the world. And I remember I was driving one night.
That's good to prepare you for dating.
Well, no. This was from pre-Bella. So then we started dating, and I was like in such a good mood for this month. I threw it out the window. I threw the CD out the window because I thought I'd never be sad ever again.
Symbolic gesture.
Right.
Symbolic gesture.
Exactly.
But then my friends...
Can't do that with Spotify.
Yeah, you can't throw a Spotify playlist out of a window of a moving car.
Try slamming your phone down.
And then having 2 of your other friends who are dating go out on that road, find the CD, put it in, and text me, hey, what the heck is on this CD? Why are you so sad?
Wait, no way.
They went out and found it. They went
out
and found it, and they were like, what is on this CD? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, we found your sad CD. It was I wrote sad on it.
Like
I Sharpied all up.
That's like found footage.
Yeah, it's literally
music.
like that. You can't do that with Spotify anymore.
Your friends are like, oh, they were sad. Now, when you do a playlist, you got some artificial intelligence going through like, well, why was Zack sad on this time?
My friends had a real intimate look at my life,
hey,
finding
Clippy,
my depression
looks
CD.
like you're sad. How can I help you?
Clippy,
Windows
shut up.
Clippy? Yeah, exactly.
But you can't do that with Spotify anymore.
Well,
that's true.
The other thing is like
it's the medium is gone.
What I don't like about is that CD was always going to be what you recorded on it.
Yep.
Now with the digital stuff is that now all of a sudden a certain word might be taken out of a song.
Yes.
Now a song might all of a sudden disappear out of your playlist.
Exactly.
Like,
or
that's
they
not
change
acceptable.
album covers all the time.
Yeah, that's not cool.
And
Well, okay, so there's another thing. Boy, this is going to date myself. Is album covers. Is that back in the
album
day,
covers
the
were
artwork,
awesome. The artwork.
1920s,
Wow.
Dark
see,
Side.
See what I have to put up with?
Yeah, I know.
What I got to do here?
Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what that album
Led
cover
Zeppelin.
was. Even
absolutely.
You. Or Led Zeppelin 4.
It's
which,
good, Zach.
I was trying to make you mad, but he went with it.
Hey, Led Zeppelin 4.
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Shout out to Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon.
Dark of the Moon?
Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon.
We're not going to
Best
talk
of the
about
Transformers.
We're not going to talk about Transformers.
But no, you've got all the album covers and stuff. And, if you had a double album, that could be used for other things. But you could also, use that. It was great to put up on the wall.
Yep.
And actually, I took some of the album covers and I put them in a frame, and then I'd hang them on the wall, like the Devo one.
Yeah.
Well,
I loved it.
There was all sorts of inserts and stuff, too, that you would get with some albums that had, like, background information because there was no internet.
Well,
so you had to get your information somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And
so,
then,
it was pretty cool.
You have, like, the Kiss album or whatever, and it would have, like, a Kiss Army sticker in it or something.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Well, vinyl did make a little comeback here a little bit. And I do have friends who have record collections, but it's like if you have a record collection now, it's like, it's like a tongue-in-cheek record collection now.
It's not.
It's like, oh, haha, that's cool because it's old.
Yeah. Well, it's when I worked at a radio station. It was so cool because I had access to the record room, which had everything pretty much that was published.
Now, this might, I'll be honest. I've never put a record onto a record player.
Yeah.
How do you find which song you want to put on? You just kind of put
you can
the needle?
see, actually, for some people listening, they probably don't know. There's wider black strips that are you can actually see this.
Oh,
but,
when the songs,
Yeah.
because in
There's
movies they always start it right at a certain song, and I'm like, how are you doing that? It's all
Well,
what I don't understand is how they do the scratching, like when it came, like when you're doing sampling and stuff.
Yeah.
Where you go, how you know exactly where
doesn't that
is.
ruin the record too?
Yeah,
Isn't
it
that-
absolutely destroys it.
Yeah, well, and the needle and everything. Yeah.
Well, so the needle is a big thing. Needles were like $80.
Yeah, needles were
So
expensive.
and then you'd have the diamond needle.
Yeah.
And you'd have to get it at some like.
Did it
really,
never dull? Was the idea behind it?
That
or-
was,
yeah.
and it would
Well,
have
it would-
really crystal clear sound.
Yeah, it would be really
and
super
the
sharp.
turntables, you'd have floating turntables, and then you have a belt drive turntable.
Wow.
Yep.
All this stuff. But the whole thing about it, I think for me was when, obviously you needed to have something different for a vehicle, obviously. But so that's kind
record
of
players are hard in a car.
Yeah.
There
really,
are some that have them though.
Seriously?
But-
Yeah, I think it's like retrofits, like just to be weird.
But there's
I'm thinking of one.
there was 78s also before the 33 and a thirds.
Right.
So
You said a lot of numbers that I don't really.
Yeah,
right
there's
over
a lot
my
of
head.
it's 78 revolutions per minute. So the original ones that came out were really, really thick.
Oh, okay.
And they were more expensive to produce, and they would have to run at 78 RPMs. So you couldn't put a lot of music on it.
Yeah,
so that's one of the
they were
things.
fast.
The other part is that with records, you had like your two sides to it, your A side and your B side. And if you're ever really interested in that kind of stuff, look up Monty Python and the 3-sided record.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was the most
That was great.
fun thing that they did.
Yes.
One side.
Interesting.
The way
Yes.
that a record works is that it's a spiral.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so you could start the record on one spiral or a second one, and there were
On
two
the
totally
same
different
side. On the same
two
Wow.
totally
side.
different tracks.
There was
So
two grooves basically next to each other on
Exactly,
the same
so-
side. Really bizarre.
it was bizarre, but it was fun
very
because
cool,
you're
yeah.
playing
Yeah.
with it and such. But yeah, and the whole thing with stereo systems and that. Now you can get a small stereo system that sounds unbelievably
that is
good.
true.
The
with
Bluetooth
cars.
speakers are nuts these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Which, to
And
the
I'm
point,
grateful for that. I mean,
Oh,
those are
yeah.
advances that I think are
Yeah,
outstanding.
to the
I
point
agree.
where my blue RX-7 doesn't have a head unit, I might just 3D print a bracket for my Bluetooth speaker in the center there.
You could.
That's a
I'm-
good idea.
Yeah.
Because the issue is that we were digging through it. We don't think the wiring is there for speakers. Like we think it was all pulled out. So we'd
So you
have
have
to
to-
pull up the carpet to put speakers in, which I will do
could.
Hey,
eventually.
it's not.
I'd want
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
eventually.
You want to do eventually.
But
Since your cousin wires up vehicles. for a living,
Exactly.
so-
That's right.
But
Yes,
like,
yeah.
it's just like the issue with that is that it's a 36-year-old car. 36 years old.
Yeah.
channels may not be.
Well, pulling the plastic parts off,
They might, be brittle. And
they're gonna
you're
all
right.
snap. I mean, pulling
Good
apart
point.
the
That is
red
true.
car.
That is true.
Towards the end of, it was a 14-hour day, but towards the end of it, we were just pull, snap, and we're just like, just let it break. It's going to break anyway. Just don't even. We pretty much put the tools away, taking apart the interior, and we're just like
Or you
grab
could
and
just
pull.
That is true.
Take
You
a
can.
screwdriver and pop it up.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
putty knife or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, stereos in cars have definitely come a long way.
Yes.
Have you ever used a vehicle with Apple CarPlay?
Yes. So I actually have Apple CarPlay in my car.
Oh, right,
'cause
retrofit.
I retrofitted, which was good, but I would highly recommend if you can get a Bluetooth version of it, don't use the USB version. I do have nothing but problems with. I'll be cruising down the road, and I've got my Waze going, which actually is kind of nice, just so that you find out there's a cop ahead or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that at the worst possible times, it'll just like freeze up or whatever, and then I gotta like reboot the radio and reboot my phone. I don't know which one it is. It's not for my car. It's just not real solid. But I love the capabilities that it offers up. And the other
That's
thing
nice.
is that like not having a regular radio anymore.
Yes.
I know that sounds
Yeah.
crazy for
Yeah.
folks listening, but that's a big deal. Like to me, is like because there's nothing to listen to.
Well, and
Yeah.
honestly, when we got the new version of our car,
Mm-hmm.
it was funny because they said, "Well, we're going to give you 3 months of XM Sirius radio,"
you
and I'm
keep
like,
it.
"Yeah, that's what
Sorry,
we said."
Sirius.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
but we were like, we don't listen to anything on Sirius, and because it's just we
Well,
don't.
No, I had Sirius for a very long time, and so the
did
problem
you?
with Sirius is that they go like, "Yes, we have these advertisement-free channels." Like, yeah, basically it's like a radio station playing 70s music, 80s, or whatever. I have Spotify. I can play
Yeah.
a list.
Yeah,
of
right.
what
I don't
wanna
think.
listen to.
I don't think. Not Xfinity. Sirius. I don't think
Seriously.
Sirius is going to stay around. Howard
No.
Stern is really the only person
No.
keeping it afloat. Not that I'm a fan of his. I go very back and forth on Howard Stern, but he's like the only person that I can even name that's on Sirius XM that's actually still producing content. I don't know.
But the thing is, there's ads all over that. So
is there?
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't listened. Okay.
In fact, I mean,
Okay.
if you go to the TV thing, we won't get too far off, but we get Hulu and Hulu Plus. Regular Hulu's got ads in it.
Yeah.
And I was
sure,
like,
yeah.
it's $6 different a month to get it without ads.
Yeah, you're still paying $6 for
Yeah.
ads, which is terrible.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's
stupid.
like, no, thank you. Yeah, well, that was the thing that surprised me because it came in a package. But anyways, yeah, so back to
It was,
Sirius
yeah.
XM is like, as you pointed out, with every new car, and then they send you these, like, hey, what about this? It's like,
Right.
why don't
Right.
you give me those offers when I actually
Yeah.
am using the service?
Yeah.
But of course, they don't ever do that. But I think it's very deceptive. It all comes down to licensing and such.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the problems come in. So I like I still have a CD collection. I actually even still have a cassette selection. And I have a cassette player that hooks up to my computer. I never use it. But it's kind of cool to have that
Yeah.
capability. Because then if you had any of these old custom ones, Gary was really good at making CD covers. And
Yeah.
so we went out
You
on
used to have that little CD cover press thing in your
Yeah, I did.
office,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
blue thing,
Yep.
and you'd put it on a
Yep.
sticker, and then you go kunk, and
Yeah.
it would suck the sticker onto the
Yeah.
CD.
Yep.
I remember playing with that as a kid.
And actually, I had to make the sound "kunk."
Yeah.
Is what I had
Or
to
else
make
it
with
didn't
my.
work.
It doesn't
And
work.
then
yeah,
I had that
Yeah.
printer that would
Yeah.
actually print right on
Yeah,
the CD.
that
Yeah.
was cool too.
So that was pretty
very
cool. But
you know, our cars don't have CD players. Did
No.
you notice that? I hadn't even thought of it, but my
Yeah.
Mazda 3, I was looking around and I was like, oh, wait, I don't even have a
the-
CD player.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
closest thing you can find now to that is a thumb drive. A lot of them
Yeah.
still have some
That's a
sort of
good point.
connection to the thumb
Yeah,
drive.
or
That's-
SD cards, which
Yes.
for the longest time, cars kept, not for the longest time, but for a little while,
Yeah.
cars kept CD players to load the navigation. You would
Yeah.
get a navigation CD,
Right.
but
Can-
now it's
oh,
all
yeah.
SD cards.
Can
So you
you?
just pop
Yeah.
the SD card in and you're done.
And it's really hard to read the cover on an SD
Oh,
card. That's really
yeah,
hard to read the little
covers on SD
cover
cards
art.
aren't
But-
quite
cover
as
art is not
artful.
quite as a full size album.
I think what you guys were talking about earlier, where it used to be more custom, more personal.
Yeah, it was.
And
It was
now
personal.
it's
Yeah.
just so
This time it's
generic. And the
personal.
other thing is music production is just everything's too perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
and
that
if you
is
think
true.
about going back to Led Zeppelin, we're going to give you crap, is
Yeah.
that you hear this one like cough,
Yeah.
and then it goes right into
Yeah.
the music, or
Yeah.
it starts winding up, or Dark Side of the Moon, where they actually had 3 tape players in the studio, and they had the
Yeah.
beginning of the song Money, all the sound effects would go around on a loop.
Yeah.
Yep,
And
yeah.
the idea to make that work, if you've never edited a piece of tape with, a splicing block and stuff,
Yeah. We should have recorded
It's
this
just-
on tape.
Yeah. Well, we're not far from
There we
that.
go.
I just want you
Fruit
to.
roll
I
up.
just. Yeah. I just. I just want you to know that we are keeping it real. You can hear everything in the background
Yeah.
of this podcast.
Unedited
so,
and unfiltered.
What is it? ASMDMR or whatever?
ASMR. Come on, Dad.
ASMR. I don't know.
ABDSM.
I mean, here's the thing. I've said this
Yeah.
for years, and it kind of ties into like manual cars and stuff. You have to have the good with the bad. I think if we rid
Yeah.
the world completely of anything negative, obviously, let's get rid of the big stuff. Let's get rid of wars. Let's get rid of poverty.
Oh, sure.
Let's
Yeah,
get,
whatever.
obviously.
Yeah.
But like, if you try to
Done.
make your life
Done.
only filled with the most positive things in the world, it's not going to be a very fulfilling life. Because like, the reason I say this is like, well, for me, a CD, but maybe for you guys, a cassette. You guys remember pulling out a CD and you put it in and it has one of your favorite songs on it,
Yeah.
and then you're like, is it skipping?
Hmm.
And then it stops and starts playing, and you're like, no! Like
Yeah.
that point
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
you're like, oh, I left it out in the sun, and
Oh,
now
yeah.
the CD is
Take it and you
warped.
rub it on your shirt.
Oh yeah. Sure.
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now Lil Wayne is all wavery in the radio, and like, but there's
Wanna
something
buy
about
you
that like it gives you like not a callus, but like
No, it's
it's just a part of life that's now everything's too perfect. It's too clean.
It
it's
is.
over sanitized.
You have to struggle for stuff to appreciate it.
Right. And same
That's
goes
exactly
with a
right,
manual
yeah.
car of like
Yeah.
manual cars. When you have a stomach ache, a manual car is the worst thing
It
in the
is.
entire world. I've
Yeah.
told this story
Yeah.
before, I believe, but I was on a certain
Could
road
be the
one
way you
time.
drive it too. But
Wow. Okay.
I
Wow.
was-
He nailed you on that one.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
fine.
zing.
Hey,
Zinger,
hey,
hey-o.
I was in my RX-7 and I
Yeah.
was at my friend's house that was about 30 minutes away,
Mhm.
and we were, drinking, eating, having a good time,
Mhm.
and obviously not drinking too much, but it was a good night, and I get in my car to come home, and all of that I'd eaten and drinking starts culminating in my stomach,
Yep.
and I'm in the RX-7,
Yeah.
and then I was on a dark U.S. Road, and I was trying to think of it wasn't an interstate, but it was like a 2-lane road.
Okay.
I don't want to give away specifics, and I'm like, oh, I'm going
Gotcha.
to explode this current second.
Yeah.
So I dumped my car from 5th to 3rd, and I punched it to get home in time, and I parked I did about 110 on a
Okay.
very
All right.
popular road here in
Okay.
town.
All
Dark
right.
Desert
And-
Highway.
What?
A dark desert highway. Cool
On a
way
dark
to do
Cool
desert
in
it.
highway, yeah.
Warm stuff,
And
absolutely.
I parked the car running in the driveway. I think I might have been on the front lawn and ran inside.
Yeah.
So driving stick shift sucks when you have a stomach ache.
It
It's like
does.
Yeah, it
bicycle
does.
kicks,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm prairie dogging, and it's just
Yeah.
terrible.
Or traffic.
But
Traffic. Yeah.
on the flip side, because it sucks so bad in traffic, when you get out on an empty road
Oh yeah.
and you go from 5th, rev match down into 4th, rev match down into 3rd, and you punch it,
Mm-hmm.
oh man,
That's
is there
where-
anything better?
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
there
No,
anything
because
better?
that's where the 911.
I don't think so.
It was like
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
$4,000
Yeah.
and $7,000 was
Oh,
this
yeah.
beautiful sweet spot that was just like
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's son's his M3's got a 2006 M3, and that's
E46,
exactly yes.
Oh.
It's gorgeous, and he takes such great care of it. When he pops that thing, it's just like bam.
The E46 M3, very interesting car because I reviewed one very early on in my review career. It must have been sub 50 of like number of cars that I drove. And this was my friend's dad's car. I don't even know if he knew that I did a review, but his son was like, take the car. So I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And it revs like a rotary in the fact that it just keeps going and going and going and you feel like you're like, I should shift, but it feels like I don't have to.
Right.
It's just like it will. If it didn't have a rev limiter, I literally said this in one of my reviews recently, it would just rev to the moon. It would just keep
There's a
going
power
forever and ever and
band there.
ever.
It's just amazing.
It doesn't die off at the top. It's not like,
Wow.
okay, you should probably shift because we're not really accelerating anymore. No, it just keeps going. And I
Wow.
felt so comfortable in that car, having driven it for 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I've owned this car for the last 18 years. Like, I
Wow.
felt
Yeah.
comfortable.
Wow.
Each gear, smooth. I love the E46 M3s.
But now the flip side is that I enjoy also the fact that with my car, it will compensate for my stupidity.
Yeah.
Is that like, okay, so because you can do it kind of a stick shift, kind of, it's got you kind of slap it off to the right or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
and then you can
Yeah.
downshift and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But if you try to downshift too hard, it'll go like, yeah, no, we're not going into first gear. We're going to take
Right.
it down to
Yeah.
a third, and then if you get down lower, then I'll put it in a second.
See,
So-
my Mazda 3, 2019 all-wheel drive, shout out. It has the plus minus, which I use a lot for engine braking. Like coming off the highway,
Yes.
I'll just
That's a good idea. I haven't
Yeah.
tried
minus,
that. Yeah.
minus, to try to scrub off some speed.
Yeah.
But it has never denied me a shift, which I absolutely love. Now, I'm not putting
Really?
it in first on the highway.
Yeah. Well,
But like I was coming off the highway pretty hot, and I was up in 6th, and I clicked it twice down into 4th, and it went. It almost redlined itself. Like I almost pinged the motor.
Wow.
And it was like, no,
Wow.
but it did. It didn't deny me, which I love. The Pacifica will deny
oh,
most of your
completely.
shifts.
Yeah. Everything.
It's
everything.
like if
yeah.
you shift up,
Yeah.
it's like.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't
know.
think so.
I don't think. Yeah, I
You know,
don't. No, I'm not feeling.
I talked with the other guys.
I'm
and
not feeling.
we
yeah.
just don't think this is a
No,
good
I'm not
idea.
feeling. The other cylinders. No, we're not doing it.
You know, I talked to 3rd and 4th gear.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's
Not
not a
in on
place for you.
this.
You- we
It's
we looked over your resume.
right.
You
right.
know, we just
You're
don't think
just-
you'd be
yeah.
a good fit.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. How
No,
many
the-
job interviews have you been on where like we don't think you're going to be a good fit?
Yeah.
It's just not a good
Yeah.
fit.
Too many.
Exactly.
Shut
Too
up.
many. So, Yes, the Pacifica will deny you.
G6, you couldn't
Constantly.
manually shift at all.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah,
we decide.
Yeah, right.
You could put it into L, which was low, which was technically first gear.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to pull something, you could put it into low.
Okay, maybe, but that, you didn't have much there.
Which I did a time or two. And then I forgot it was in L, and it actually didn't shift out of L. I was coming around by the Wendy's up here,
okay,
and I didn't realize I put it into L instead of drive.
Yeah.
And I was driving, it was like, and I was like, oh.
Well,
Saucy.
driving in the mountains, if you don't know how to downshift, you could lose
Oh,
your life.
that is true. That is
It
true.
really is something-
When I went out there in the RX-7, I was scared to death. I drove probably 3 miles an hour on certain roads because it was scary.
My car has 20,000 miles, and we're going out to Denver in June. We already went out to Denver. It was great.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great
It
time.
was so
And,
great to have you at the house.
Thank
though.
you.
Yeah,
Thanks
it was
for
great.
hosting
It was
us.
great.
And
Absolutely.
the
That was
$1 million party was a bit much, but I
It
was thankful for the hookers and blow. But
wow, you were.
we had a
you're
great
not gonna-
time.
You're not going
We
to.
had a lousy time.
Yeah, I was going to
let's get all
say
the
you didn't do
scrubs
the
out there, yeah.
scrubs.
Why didn't you come out?
Right.
all our bases are
It
covered.
was the best of times. It was the worst of
But
times.
my car is 20,000 miles,
Yeah.
and I told the dealer, I'm like, I'd like new brakes on this car. And they're like, it has 20,000 miles. And I'm like, I'm going to Colorado. I want brand new brakes.
Well, you have to.
I want the best because they are slightly warped.
See,
Because
here's
I
the
may
thing.
or may not have driven on a road and slammed the brakes doing
Right.
100.
Whatever.
But like,
so yes. But you said that was the funny thing is you said you felt the wobble.
oh yeah, I was like, these brakes are warped, and
Yeah,
they're like, okay,
exactly.
we'll take a look at them, and
Yeah.
they're like, this is the most slight warping we've
They
ever
got the
noticed
micrometer
on
out.
rotors.
They
And I
got
was
the
like,
micrometer
I
out.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the micrometer out.
Yes,
they were like,
seriously,
are you
I know.
sure these are warped? I'm
Yeah.
like, 100%. And they're like, oh, I guess they are a little. And I'm like, I
tiny-
It
told
was a
you.
good thing you did that because when we took you up to Mount Evans,
Mhm.
that was
Yes.
pretty intense.
Yeah.
14,000 feet. You don't want to lose your brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No, you
bad.
really should. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm
No,
definitely
it was a
gonna
good
get,
thing that you did.
Honestly, I
That's
might
what
I
should
might
say.
drop like $500
Yeah.
and just do rotors and pads, at least on the front.
I
The
would.
backs are probably
I would.
fine, but going downhill,
Trust
the
me.
front rotors are going to be glowing.
Yes, the fact that you did that in the past,
Yes,
that we're
totally in
talking
the
about,
past, yeah.
was a great idea.
Thanks.
And I'm glad I encouraged you many months ago
Yeah.
to do that before.
Yeah, we went up to Guanella Pass, which
Mm,
was outstanding. That's another base of a 14er. And shout out to
14er,
Colin.
Colorado
On the way
terms.
Yeah.
down the mountain, you could smell the brakes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Colin was a little nervous.
What were you in?
Was in my Mazda 6.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I knew that I had to do a full brake job when one time I was coming down the mountains and the car shimmied as I was. So
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like I started taking the.
yeah.
There's two different ways you can come down the mountain. One, it's hilarious because the signs are like, you're not done yet. There's still a 4% slope
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah.
The reason why they do it is mainly for the trucks. And you see the runaway truck ramps and all that stuff.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
This
Which
stuff's
then you see
serious.
the people sledding on in the wintertime. And it's like, all right, you know what? Just
That's not.
that's
not-
natural
that's not what
selection
it's
right
supposed
there.
to
If you're
be.
sledding on a truck off ramp, come on.
that would be bad.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, but
I wouldn't do that there, no.
yeah.
No. Jeez. Yeah.
But I have seen one of the trucks go into one of those.
Have you really?
That, yeah. And
Traumatizing.
basically the truck drops about, all the way down to the base of the cab and the trailer, because that's the whole thing is that it's basically you drive like into sand and it's these blocks that just kind of drop out. So it's the same.
Really?
It's similar to what they did at Midway Airport when
It's
they
that
put
collapsible concrete, right?
exactly.
Yeah, so you can walk on it, but like if a 747 puts its
It just
tire on
drops.
it gives out.
Yeah. So,
Huh.
Yeah.
but in some of the
Wow.
ones like just past the Eisenhower Tunnel, what they'll do is that there's this giant. It's more like a gravel type thing,
Mhm.
but it goes like straight up. But the thing is, it's built to just kind of let the truck drop into it. You're not gonna roll back. There's no way you're gonna roll back.
Wow.
Which makes sense. But
Yeah.
one thing that I've picked up from like reviewing so many cars and owning so many terrible cars is that I do have a newfound skill, not newfound skill, but a skill of keeping a car running and alive long enough to complete the journey. So
That's actually a very big skill because,
Yeah.
it's important to know.
Yeah.
Like, if you're having problems with it, how you can kind of feather the accelerator sometimes. I don't even want to call it a gas pedal anymore because God knows it's not even connected to anything. But
fly by wire. But I forget what I was reviewing, but my friend was like, sometimes, if the car like feels like it's gonna die, like just feather the gas a little bit, and I'm like, I know. I've kept my RX-7 alive in the cold at stoplights for multiple years. And like, yes, people stare at you of like, why are you revving? And I'm like, ma'am, I'm just trying to get home. Please stop looking at me.
Yeah, we used to have to take the air filter off, that 69 Chevelle.
Sometimes
you take that off, and or to get it started, you'd like dump gas down into the car.
A little bit of ether never hurt anyone.
Yeah.
But again, there you go. You've got
a skill.
But you have the today's technology, which is awesome because you can drive up from sea level to 14,000 feet and not think about it at all.
Right.
And it runs just great. Whereas before, if you would have done that, you would have been sucking.
With a carburetor, you'd be pulling over. You'd have your little screwdrivers out, adjusting the floats, and
So it's.
I'm very curious. I was very curious to see how my car performed up in the mountains.
Actually,
naturally aspirated.
You seemed pretty surprised when we got up there, and you noticed how well that it ran. I mean, I
was very disappointed.
So I
was very surprised.
Are we somewhere in the notes going to explain why we're saying things like this?
No, why?
Jeez.
I want the dogs. We're pre-recording this.
Yeah,
this is
I want people to understand that we're pre-recording.
Yeah, we are pre-recording this. I'm sorry to break the illusion, but this is not actually being filmed in November of 2020.
We're filming.
Breaking the fourth wall.
In podcast.
It's not actually being recorded in November. This is actually what is today.
That's true. This is the rare breaking the fourth wall in a podcast. It doesn't
pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
Today's April 21st.
Today's April 21st, so we're not even close to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so I hope the world's still together.
Yeah, I hope so.
But you know what?
This may be the only podcast left.
Do we want to make celebrity death?
Predictions?
Do a Deadpool?
We could
do a Red Book kind of thing where you.
I was gonna say, what is it, Prince? What's his face?
I think Prince Philip will die this year. I'm gonna do all the retroactive.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Interesting.
There's no death. I can't think of any.
What about
now.
Is Betty White still around?
Yeah.
So maybe she's up there.
Well, that one's pretty easy. That's
I
come on. It's not betting the house on that one.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
I'm thinking.
Sorry,
I was going to say Arnold bites it in the next year.
Really? That's like your guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to call you when that happens.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be okay.
In the next.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like, but yeah, well, he's got that that pig stint in his heart. So,
Oh, does he? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, he does. He rides his bike every day and all that stuff. So.
I'm thinking a U.S. president is going to U.S. president.
Oh, Carter, duh.
I didn't even know Carter was still around.
Right.
What's he doing?
Not much.
Yeah, he's just hanging.
So let's see.
Just
we don't
waiting.
know. Yeah,
let's make this most poorly aged podcast ever.
And I think, who else?
Wow, this economy is so great.
It is.
Wow, this economy is so terrible. Wow, we have the same economy. All right, bases covered.
Yep, that's exactly why we're doing this. So,
I'm so glad COVID's over. I can't believe COVID's still going on. I can't believe it's unchanged.
Yeah, I can't.
Just just sound clip whatever you want in here.
Exactly.
Just
So we're pretending.
Actually, I think we ought to do this like the old video game that used to be when we were in high school.
You choose the adventure.
Where you choose the adventure.
Yeah.
So you choose the podcast.
The Oregon Trail?
No, but that was a good one. Actually.
No, that was.
My kids like that one.
I was gonna say
that's run of the Oregon Trail.
Wow, that's
dysentery.
Dating you.
2 seconds.
That's dating you because that was after us.
Well, and that's
okay.
Dragon's Lair.
Sorry, electronic football. Is that what we're talking about here?
The magnetic one? Nothing but awesome.
Don't.
I only know about magnetic football or not electronic football from the movie Super 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not a car movie, but great film by J.J. Abrams.
It is a
check
great
out.
film.
It takes place in the late 70s, 78 or something.
I want to say 70.
About an
80s.
alien in a small town.
What was electronic football doing in that?
I don't know. Oh, it was just like a side joke.
Yeah,
because they broke into the school and they're like, I wonder if this teacher still has my electronic football he took away.
Yeah,
they're breaking into the school for like plans.
We're talking about two different types of electronic football, though.
There was another electronic football.
You're talking about the handheld game.
Yeah.
No, this is the vibrating.
No, this
you've got
is
the magnetic things. You have the magnetic.
I want to bring that back. By the way, I think that would be a great thing.
And the
to
hockey
bring back.
one.
And the hockey.
Oh,
one.
I've played the hockey one,
but without the dome. You don't have the dome. That's for wuss.
No, that's
you want to be able to
no shout out to the dome.
No, you want to be able to flip the puck out against, and then you go down there and you kind of hook your the little sticks, and then you want the best puck that they had would have this puck, but it had like a ball bearing in the middle of it.
Silver ball in the middle of what looked like a tire.
And then typically it would always find its way to the one point in the rink that
that no one could touch. No one could touch it,
There was only like 3 or 4 points.
And then you'd have to like flick it out with your finger and stuff like that.
This is the game podcast now.
I know, this is the unnamed game podcast.
Scrabble.
I'm trying to think of other games that you guys would know.
We don't know anything.
Yeah, I know.
But no, we had some
Pong.
What was it?
Yeah, first Pong.
Tetris.
We had the mechanical Pong game. I am not joking.
Wow.
Yeah,
you remember that?
I do remember it.
It was
basically.
Pong game.
Wasn't it just called tennis?
No, so our uncle had the original Pong, like the real Pong game, because we were too poor for that.
Right, we were too poor.
But what that one was
Shout
awesome
out
because
to poorness.
Exactly. There was like
Shout out to
6
the
games you could play.
Yeah.
The only problem was it was the same game.
Yeah. We were talking about this the other night. It was
table tennis.
Overlay,
it's ping pong.
Yeah.
It's hockey.
Yeah.
It's no, it's not any of that.
Yeah.
So no, the one that
badminton.
he's talking about was actually like a stick that had a spring.
Yes.
And then it would have like a flashlight.
Go for money now. I wonder if there's like
a
used
sure
market.
That'd be big money.
That would be. So there was a machine. There was an actual mechanical motor inside this thing, and the light would project at the end of the stick would project through the projection, and it looked like a little ball of light.
Yeah.
But it was really just the ball on the end, or it was a light on the end of the stick, and the stick literally was on springs and a mechanism that allowed it to go back and forth in front of the screen.
Yeah.
And you were literally. It was a mechanical game.
Did Matthew Broderick play it and then start a war accidentally?
I think so.
It was called Whopper. Yeah, it was called Whopper.
Like to play a game.
Yeah. So no, it was that was crazy. But how did we even get into this?
Shout out to Matthew Broderick because he gets confused with John Cryer.
Oh, is he gonna die this year?
You know, looking at
Matthew Broderick. No.
Okay.
I don't think so. But you can call it if you want to.
No. I'm
let's see. Who else is? I'm Will Ferrell.
Really?
Will Ferrell.
Will
Wow.
Ferrell.
And I based that on nothing.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Great.
All right.
Excellent.
Fair.
Okay.
I love you, Will, but
yeah.
I even say what musician? Who's got it? The problem is that my musicians now are getting up there a little bit in age.
Yeah, I mean they're geriatric anyway.
I would say
ever since Rolling Stones did the Steel Wheelchair tour, that was
Steel
Wheelchair. Well, Dad, who did you see that was real depressing to watch up on? Didn't you see not Led Zeppelin? Didn't you? No.
Oh, he's getting
you
the Led
saw
Zeppelin
a
dig
concert
tonight.
that was like kind of depressing to see.
Yeah, Blondie was really
not
depressing.
the B-52s. We saw the B-52s together, and it was a very lit concert.
I loved that concert. That was one of my favorite things to do. Because
they were definitely very old. Like it was obvious that they weren't in their prime, but it was fun because the crowd was old too.
Yes, and you grew up on those songs in the truck on the CD. We're circling back to the whole CD.
Well, that's a good point. Is that I think maybe that's part of why it's so interesting. Is that. You know, you grow up with these songs and stuff.
Yep.
And a lot of times back in the day, before music videos, before, had electricity, that you had no idea what the people looked like.
Yeah.
So you have like Ballroom Blitz, Sweet or whatever.
Yeah.
Before, Motley Crue did, you had no idea what that group looked like. And when you would see them, it was like they never matched up with what you thought they looked like.
This is really bothering me. What concert did you go to? I think it was at the concert, like just down the road here.
It had to be, kind of the festival kind of concert.
And
the festivals, that's one of the things that's kind of scary because when you go to a festival concert nowadays, as you point out, it can be depressing actually.
Yeah, it was someone that,
I want to say it was like who did Hager? Like.
The guy in the thing who sings. The guy who sings.
Wasn't it?
The guy
we
who
talked
sings.
about their songs. It was Sharp Dressed Man, ZZ Top.
ZZ Top.
Yeah,
didn't you see ZZ Top? And it was.
I did, and it was very depressing actually.
Yeah, because I think it was, yes, and it was depressing because they were
like
so
walkers and
lethargic.
yeah.
I mean, the music actually sounded lethargic.
Which is really strange because like
yeah, it is. It is crazy.
There was 8 pee breaks during it too. It was crazy.
Where mostly they just stood there with a weird look on their face, and it was the Depends.
groupies
because everything is now sponsored by this
Depends.
break sponsored by Depends.
Groupies don't throw their bras on stage anymore. They throw Pampers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow.
They throw Pampers, tennis balls with the slits cut in them for the
already.
walkers.
Yeah, for the walkers.
And what are those hard candies that no one knows where they come from, but
Werther's?
they just end up in Werther's original.
Yeah.
No one has ever purchased a
Starlight
Werther's original.
Mints.
Oh, no, it's pretty true. Although our grandparents used to have licorice. Remember the licorice?
Yeah, and it was black licorice.
Black licorice. It was
like
horrible.
sucked.
Is there a point where
we
like
hated
it turns and then you like black licorice?
No.
Is that like when you? Give
I don't
up
think
on
you
life,
ever
or
liked
like.
black
I don't think
licorice.
anyone ever likes it. I think
It's
our
just someone
grandparents
who's
hated us.
accepted their like incoming death, and they're like,
Yeah.
all right, black licorice.
All
for
right,
me.
we're just
Yeah,
Maybe it's
that's-
a cry for help. Maybe people who like black licorice are just like, I want someone to
know.
notice that I'm not doing well.
I think it's a.
It's
yeah,
like
maybe
leaving
it is
your
a
pack
cry-
of cigarettes out on the
cry for
table,
help,
and you're
yeah.
like, someone noticed this so they can yell at me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a cry for help. The black licorice.
Yeah, it is. I think hard candy, black licorice, that kind of stuff is nasty.
Well, because like grandma and grandpa, mom's parents, they just have these bowls of hard candies.
Do
It
they
looks like a
still?
strawberry. Yeah,
No.
it looks like a strawberry.
Yes.
Like the wrapping of
Yes.
it. I've never seen that in a single store ever.
No.
I don't know where these are produced. I don't know who's buying them or where.
There's a special store.
But they have bags
There's
of
a
them.
special store
I
for
guess
people that
so.
get older. That it's just the candy you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, it's just like an old
It is.
person's store.
It is. It's the old person
They
store.
sell the perfume that every old person smells
oh my
like,
gosh.
and they have hard candies,
Yeah.
and they sell fake hearing aid batteries because none of them ever work apparently.
I don't know where these guys get Old Spice still, but somehow the old guys really enjoy it.
It's old. It's not like new Old Spice. Like I have Old
it's
Spice
old
like
Old
Sea
Spice.
Breeze.
Oh,
or
there's like a
something.
whole bunch
We're
of,
talking
like-
about like
No, we're
Old
talking the
Spice.
OG.
Like, yeah,
Oh, gee.
yeah, like melted wax Old Spice.
Old Spice. Oh,
Yeah,
gee.
like if you leave it in a room, like it turns into a solid.
Did you
kind
know
of
for
Old
the
Spice.
longest time at our parents' house, in the basement, in the bathroom in the basement, was a bottle of High Karate?
What is high karate?
I never used that.
Really? That,
I think someone else did.
that it was. That it
And
was.
it wasn't you.
It was.
If you know what I'm talking about.
I know. I know exactly.
Oh
what
man,
you're talking about. Yes. So
wasn't me.
Nope,
Wasn't me.
That wasn't me.
Can we just get a group?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hello.
So anyway, but yeah, I remember
What is
that one.
what's high
High-
karate?
High Karate was
Oh.
huge.
Is that like
was
the Karate Kid?
No. It was a fragrance. It was a
Orica.
clone. It was a
And
clone
the
for men.
commercials were extremely sexist.
Oh
where the
gosh.
guy would
yes.
put it on, he would have to fight off the women with his
Yes,
karate chops.
yes,
Oh wow.
because
Okay.
Because they were
he-
drawn to him.
Because they were
so-
drawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Interesting.
it's something that like in later times, Axe body spray should be sued for false advertising.
Well, it's very similar, actually.
yeah, it is.
Axe is kind of the
High
follow-on
Karate?
to High Karate.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but when I was growing up,
Yeah.
Axe body spray, like 2010, 2011, 2009,
Yeah.
Axe body spray was like the thing. That
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
5 gum.
Oh yeah,
the
5
old
gum.
like stimulate your senses,
Yes.
whatever. To
5
the
T-berry.
point where like,
The what?
T-berry gum.
T-berry.
oh god. But kids used to take Axe body spray and they duct tape the sprayer and throw it into the boys' locker room. And
Oh,
like there was
nice.
actual kids that would douse themselves
Nice.
in Axe
Yeah,
body
yeah,
spray.
yeah,
yeah.
But it got so insane when Axe
Yeah.
body spray
Yeah.
really jumped the shark was when they
Mhm.
had a chocolate scented body spray. This is
Yeah,
real. You can
yeah.
Google it.
Okay.
And or Bing it. And
Yeah.
there was a body spray that was chocolate.
Chocolate.
But that was
wow.
also during the phase where like everything was bacon in 2011.
That is true.
There was bacon mints. There was bacon.
there was bacon
bacon
everywhere
Wow.
for a while,
T-shirts.
yeah.
We got
Exactly.
one of our other cousins a stuffed piece of bacon that would talk to you.
Yes.
And it would say, "I'm bacon."
Yes.
What would it say? It was a high on bacon,
it
or
was like,
and then the cover said you have a friend.
It's
in
starting
need.
to sound like a Gaffigan.
yeah. Well, so
bit.
So-
Or a
bacon
fever
stuffed
dream that I
bacon.
had.
So
I
the
don't
so
know.
the so the good thing is that we never go off track or off topic.
We've
of
stayed on cars this entire time. This
Talking
it's
about
a Thanksgiving
talking bacon.
episode. You know, people are listening
is.
when they want to get away from their families.
Yeah.
So come on over to
That's
our
right.
family where we're just as annoying,
Yes,
just as loud, just
absolutely,
as
yeah.
sidetracked.
Absolutely.
Except we're actually all sober right now, which
Yeah, which is
probably
crazy.
can't be said about your own family.
And we're not exactly full. I'm I could eat
The
some more.
tryptophan hasn't kicked in
The
quite yet.
tryptophan-
You know, we should have recorded this after a big dinner.
Yeah.
And
that
then
would've been
just
great.
it would be a 6-hour podcast, but about 2.5 hours
Really?
in, we would just trail off into comatose, and then it's 6 hours of just what?
and and you would hear
waking up.
you would hear a TV, but quietly out in the
Exactly.
background. You'd hear a quiet TV
Yeah.
in the background.
Make sure to check back for our Christmas special. It's going to be quite an extravaganza, as well as New Year's, where we'll be going back and reviewing all the deaths, celebrity
Yes.
deaths throughout the
Yeah,
year.
that we've-
Or it's all or it's a football game on the TV of two teams that are like thousands of miles away from your hometown.
Oh yeah.
And it's just
no
on
interest
because
in-
it's
no
Thanksgiving,
interest
and
in
apparently people watch football on
whatsoever.
Thanksgiving for some
It's
reason.
like the
And there's no one in the stands.
yeah,
yes, and it's like
or maybe
the,
there were this year. We don't
yeah,
know.
it's like
And the stands were full.
And the
And it's-
stands were empty. And the stands were moderately filled.
stamps,
Stamps.
stamps.
New word. Well, actually, you don't know. In late July of 2021, Stams actually becomes very, very popular in the youth lexicon. So I'm actually
Wow, I totally-
Stams is.
You're
Put it
right.
in the
okay,
red book.
so-
You're very old
I am
to not
very
say
old.
Stams now.
Wow,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm not with it. I'm
You're
not
not-
with
you're
this
not hip.
current
No.
time
You're
that
not
we are now.
down.
We're not. Yeah, in this current time that we are now in.
Down with the sickness.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Wow.
I actually listened to that song unironically the other day on the way to work. Went through a big Disturbed kick.
So have you listened
that-
to it ironically?
Yeah, because that was like a big joke because that song was one of the first songs that YouTube let you use on YouTube. So
Was it really?
everyone's montage,
Really?
everyone's Halo 3 epic fails montages was to that Down with the Sickness or Bodies Hit the Floor.
Wow, that's
Wow,
pretty
it-
wild. I didn't
yeah.
know that.
That is wild.
It became like a big like meme with my age.
'Cause
Like
I used that for my music. It was part of the music for my first bodybuilding show,
oh yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Which
Yeah.
which was
All right.
when?
Which was
Disturbed.
Like-
2003.
2000. Okay, so that was unironically.
Yes.
But
Right,
like growing
yeah,
up, like it's
yeah.
became a very ironic song of
Yeah.
like a kind of like a tongue in cheek listening to
Well,
it.
that's. I mean, you go back to a lot of music. Yeah, you're right. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that was like that. That you listen to later and just kind of go, "What were they thinking?"
If you're listening or if you want new songs, Disturbed does a cover of The Sound of Silence. You know that song?
I have heard this.
It's so good.
It's so
It's on my
creepy.
current playlist right now.
Really?
The Sound
Hello,
of
Darkness,
Silence.
My Old Friend?
Yeah, but it's
That whole
done
thing?
by Disturbed.
Okay.
And his voice goes so low. It's real cool.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for new music, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
But by now, I guess that's old
All right.
music.
Yeah,
but-
that's right. Because
Why are you eating the microphone? What
no,
are you doing?
I'm trying to find a good position.
comfortable-
You know
so
what's
I'm
funny
actually,
is that microphone reminds me of the outdoor theaters where you would put the thing on your
yeah.
window.
No, really, very,
and
very
how
similar.
many times after a couple of road pops I would pull out of the theater?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I-
Oh,
I-
at drive-in movie theaters?
Yeah.
You
hook it
used
on
to
your
have
window? Yeah,
one in the basement,
did.
and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
I never
I really
hooked it
wanna-
up to anything though.
No,
should've
but
done
I thought that was the coolest thing.
kinda
No,
fun.
I'm trying to get the right sound out of this microphone because just you can't see this obviously, but we don't have a ton in our studio here at Plymouth Rock. We don't have a ton of like equipment.
Yeah, we had to pack up quick coming out here.
I
to
like the
sip on
studio
crap.
name Plymouth Rock though. I think
Plymouth
that's-
Rock, yeah, that's
Plymouth
actually
rocks.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Well,
And
Plymouth
Plymouth
with a car.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Right
Plymouth
in the
Fury,
rock,
shout
yeah,
out.
Plymouth,
the car
right.
that ruined
Oh my
my
God.
childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Fury
But-
is an
yeah.
amazing car.
Yeah, hope
But
you
no-
enjoyed our Christine episode for Halloween.
That's right. No, but this microphone, I just wanted to explain, this microphone is actually your great-grandfather's microphone.
And he wants it back.
That's our Halloween special right there, yeah.
ooh, yeah.
Ooh,
We try to conjure the spirits of our
oh.
relatives to
Yeah, that
talk
would be-
about movies.
That would be a bad idea. trust
Imagine
me.
like going through like a ghost. I'm sure talking to people like humans is really hard as a ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine going through all that pain and you're like,
Yeah.
and we're
Like,
gonna
shut
talk
up,
about
man.
Ghostbusters now.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be
really. You
sucky.
pulled me from the afterlife for this.
For this, exactly.
To talk about Ghostbusters 2
I
and the
was
pink
in a-
slime.
I was
Come
in
on.
a cribbage
Exactly.
game with Elvis, and
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the Ghostbusters car was so good, though.
Oh, the
Oh,
X
yeah,
Let
yeah, yeah.
what
Ecto-
what are we
Ecto
at
1.
recording wise?
We are at 1 hour 52 minutes and 12 seconds.
So let's start to wrap up if that's possible.
Really? No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine.
What
We're
you think-
getting
All
this.
right, no.
We're getting the rap sign.
Finally, yeah,
the music
we're-
is starting.
No,
Da,
but
da,
let's talk
da,
about
da.
our favorite movie cars just to end out.
Favorite movie cars. Holy cow! There's
That's
a ton.
tough.
of
We're also
them.
going to Midwestern goodbye this, so if you're listening,
Yeah, exactly.
you're like,
If you-
hey,
if
wait,
you-
this
yeah.
is only halfway through. We
Well,
know and we're sorry.
Midwestern.
Buh.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Midwestern goodbye for those people that don't know is it's a goodbye that
When
takes
you say
forever.
goodbye, you stand up and
Yep.
then you talk about
Yep.
what you're doing that
Yep,
week,
Yep.
and you stand in the doorway,
Yep.
and then you
Goes 10
continue the
minutes.
conversation in the
Yeah.
driveway,
It
and then you
goes
continue
on
the
and on and
conversation
on.
when that person's in their car.
It's
And it
it's
goes
a
on
sign
and
of
on and on.
endearment.
Yeah, it is a sign
because
of endearment.
yeah,
You can really tell when people are not from the Midwest because they're like
Yeah,
my
bye.
friend is from
Later.
Russia, and she goes, "All right, I'm heading out," and we're like, "Oh, okay, see ya," and then she walked out. Can
wow.
you
What kind of a
believe this woman?
sicko is
Son
that?
of a gun! Wow.
She
how
literally
rude.
said goodbye and left.
Wow.
It
What
was
kinda weird-
insane.
Nuts.
That's crazy.
But favorite movie cars?
Batmobile.
Yeah, Batmobile is one
Which
of my.
one?
favorites.
Well,
the
okay.
original? We're talking
Actually,
the
no.
original?
You're. That's a good point. As soon as it came out of my mouth.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. No. From the TV show.
Yes.
Batmobile.
Based off of the Lincoln. It was a concept car by Lincoln, and then
Yeah,
George
it was.
Barris was like,
Yeah.
repaint it black.
Right. And
And
that's
then
kind
they
of
had
what.
to, but they
yeah.
had to put the
yeah.
highlights on it.
Futura,
because-
Lincoln
Yeah.
Futura.
Lincoln
Yes, the
Futura.
Futura.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I actually learned from Bella's 9-year-old brother.
Really?
Because he was like, I want a toy of the Lincoln Futura. And I'm like, that's not a car, you little idiot. And then
Yeah.
he showed me up, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Wow.
I was thoroughly impressed.
Crazy.
So that is
Shout out,
that
baby.
is one of my very favorites. That's such a cool looking car. And
Yeah.
That was like the best.
In fact, the thing is, the other, Batmobiles and stuff, they got a little too crazy.
Oh yeah. I don't like the.
There was the one with like the turbine in the
Yeah.
front of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
and
like that.
I will actually even agree the new Batmobile is not good. The Tumbler or whatever,
No.
that military one, it had like kind of an okay backstory and it was kind of cool, but it's not
Yeah.
it's not fun to look at. It's a
No.
piece
No.
of equipment.
No.
The Batmobile from the 60s, that's a cool fun car to look at.
Yeah.
But that goes back to the whole thing about having character.
Well,
true,
and
yeah.
the new Batman that's coming out, the new Batman, maybe it's already out. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a Prius. It's a Toyota Prius. No, it's a. I have no
Our-
idea.
weird
but
when
it
they
Our
have
was-
to
battery's dead.
I was gonna say they have to stop the fight halfway through and find a Meijer or a Whole Foods that has a
Meijer.
charging
But-
station out front.
And that goes to the whole thing, and someone will listen to this at some point, and it'll be crazy because it won't make any sense. But the thing is, like the torque we're talking about torque way back there. The torque on these new Teslas
Insane.
is unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
immediate. There's
yeah.
no,
It's so
There's no-
insane.
but
yeah.
at the same time, the thing's quiet,
Yeah.
so you don't
Yeah.
get that. Whoa,
All you hear is tires.
Yeah.
All you hear is
Yeah.
the tires. And it's so insane that when I went to go review the P100D, the Performance Model S,
Okay.
it was I drove a couple hours to go film it, and the morning I showed up, Tesla had, for the owner, downloaded a new drive mode that was called Chill. And you put it into chill mode, and when
Really?
you mash the pedal, it goes, it like it's real slow. It
Okay.
like numbs the car completely
Yes.
because he was an older gentleman
So
that
if you-
owned the car.
okay.
So if you touch the gas, you're not going a million miles an
Right,
hour in the
yeah,
first second.
Well, if you had a new driver too, that would
Yeah,
be
Oh,
great.
100%.
true,
And you
yeah,
can lock it
definitely, yeah.
into chill
Yeah.
mode, which is
Okay.
nice. And it accelerated just like the G6, honestly.
Okay, so other car.
Right.
Other cars. So Ecto 1.
Ecto 1, 100%.
100%. And I always loved ambulance. I almost bought an ambulance,
Mhm.
almost the same. Seriously, the same
Oh,
size.
I believe it.
love
That's why I'm
ambulances.
smiling.
Yeah.
No one can see it, but yeah, that's
There's
Yeah.
that house in town that has that ambulance parked out front all the
Yes,
time.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
I
not
drove
that
by,
one.
No, but I drove by there
the
today.
fire station.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's all these burly
It's a-
guys hang
right,
out
yeah,
out
and
front.
It's
and
red, and
they
there's
got some
this,
big
like,
red
this
pickup
big
trucks,
red-
too.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
washing it.
No, there's a
Right.
house in town that has an ambulance there, but today
Yeah.
it was a orange Volkswagen 70s bus
Really?
in place
Okay.
of the
Wow.
Well, I almost
shout out
bought
whoever that guy is. I
like
need
a
to knock on his door.
60s Cadillac ambulance. Is
Yeah,
almost what I
the
bought.
Cadillac
Really,
ambulance
really
from
cool.
Ghostbusters
I
was
just-
really cool.
I think ever since when I was a kid, I had a Hot Wheels. No, it was a Corgi.
Probably Corgi, yeah.
It was a Corgi of a BMW ambulance.
BMW.
Yes.
Ambulance.
And
Was it? Oh, I know
remember
exactly
that?
which one it
It
was.
was
yeah.
very like
Big.
bubbly and
Yeah, very
rounded.
bubbly's the
Rounded,
right
yeah.
word.
And I
Interesting,
loved
okay.
that ambulance. It was like the coolest car
Was
to me.
it
It
white
was.
and blue?
It was. Was that?
Yeah.
Was it white and blue?
It was definitely white. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
blue. It was
I don't
definitely
know any
white.
blue parts of it.
Yeah.
I just
Oh,
and it
okay.
had one little bubble on the
Yes,
top
it did.
for
It did.
the
I
light.
That
just
was it.
remember. I know that we have that like gumball container. It's actually up in my room
Yeah.
of all your old toys.
How about
Oh.
the police cars? All
Yeah.
the little
Okay.
police cars.
All right. Fine.
Oh yeah.
No, George is getting mad at me because I
Uh-oh.
used to. I used to open.
Squashing beef here on the Unnamed Movie Car Podcast. 40-year-old beef.
He started doing chops
Chop shop.
on the police cars,
Yeah.
chops on everything.
I would.
Wow.
They never come back together, but hey,
So,
that's how you learn.
So when I was growing up, yes, I used to take everything apart.
But what about the AFX track?
Oh, the AFX
But
track.
see, okay,
The
now there's a
AFX
good
was awesome.
example of we had the AFX track, the original stuff.
Yeah.
It had the little magnets or the little,
Little
strips
cars, yeah.
that would go along the track.
Yep.
And then the G Plus came out, and G Plus sucked.
Yeah, they got
because
better. And
You could actually take a rubber band and put it around the controller
Yeah.
as fast as it could go, and it
Yeah.
would just zip around the track.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's not fun, you know.
there was no skill to driving
Yeah.
A G Plus car. They were.
Oh,
super
we're talking
fast.
slot cars now.
We're talking
Slot cars,
slot
yes.
cars.
Slot
And,
cars, yeah.
Yes, and so that was one of those things where technology and advancements sucked.
Killed
because
it.
It
Yeah.
ruined-
killed
actually,
it.
it
Actually
ruined it.
ruined the fun of the game. So I mean,
I mean, we're
I'm-
even seeing that with like modern video games, like
yeah,
like
yeah.
Call of Duty and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that. It's so easy now that it's
Is
like
it?
I'll
Really?
play it for like 15 minutes and then I'm like, let's do some other stuff.
well, it's
you know?
especially easy when you play me because
Yeah,
you
well,
kill me
yeah.
every single time.
My dad
I
has
respawn.
like this bone to pick with me since I was like 8 and
Yeah.
I beat him in Halo.
No, you would constantly, whenever I respawned, you'd immediately pop me in the head,
Yeah.
and you'd be like, "Okay, done. Okay,
How
gotta
are you
respawn."
gonna get
I'm
any
like,
better
oh,
if I go
jeez.
easy on you, Dad?
Ah, jeez. I'm like, that's no fun.
yeah.
How is he going to get any better if you don't let him play?
Yeah, jeez.
Okay.
All right, so
Two sides to this argument.
exactly. no,
Um,
but it was
We used to play Gears of War 2 together because we'd be on the
Yeah.
same team.
that was always
And then
fun.
it was always just endless enemies that we would shoot
Yes.
and chainsaw
yes,
in half.
Yes.
And that
didn't
was
we,
more fun.
What was the one with the Nazi zombies?
Call of Duty.
Was it Call of
That
Duty?
was great.
That
oh
was
man,
fun. I used to
I
love that.
dream about the nights of playing that game,
Yeah.
staying up late with my
Yeah.
friends.
It was
endless-
scary and fun,
Yeah,
and
it
like
was so
it was a
fun.
great game.
so fun.
But yeah, I do remember. Jeez, we could do a whole
Well,
thing.
yeah,
on
like,
pod-
so if we go
podcast
back
on
to the cars,
Okay,
like Fast,
cars,
and,
yeah.
Fast
What?
and Furious,
that. Okay, yeah.
for me, like, I know Tokyo Drift is like the one everybody's like, oh, you can't like that movie.
No,
but-
it's
Well,
in my generation.
in
That's
his
that is
that's
that is put up on a pedestal.
Oh,
Tokyo Drift is like
pedestal.
because in my mind, that scene where they're drifting up the ramp, the parking
Yeah,
ramp,
yeah.
Oh, in the
on
350Z.
freaking
it's
believable.
a 350Z and an S15 Sylvia. I know the scene you're talking about. Very good one.
But the
the
problem is
so
getting out
good.
of those movies.
Yeah.
You drive like a jerk.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you can't help it.
Yeah.
It's like,
One of the best
Yeah.
cars in that movie that's so underrated is the Mustang in the end. The green Mustang.
yeah.
So they don't mention it, but the
I don't
song
remember
that
that.
they
I'll have to
drive,
look at
the
that.
song that plays while they race, they build a car for the last race, of course, because they have to.
Of course they do.
But the
can't just
engine
buy
really
it.
never went in that car.
It
Shout out
was
to Craig Lieberman.
Shout out to it
Yeah.
was a
Yep.
green first gen Mustang, but they put a Nissan Skyline motor into it. It was an RB26. So it was this Japanese straight six turbo put into a American Mustang, and the song that played during it was called Mustang Nismo, which Nismo's the performance version of Nissan. And
Okay.
shout out
alright,
to Brian Tyler, I think, who did the soundtrack for that movie.
yeah.
Because I had it on my iPod Touch for like,
Yeah.
years and years and years. But yeah, one of the most underrated cars in that film is a RB26 swapped Mustang,
Okay.
which is just the sickest thing
Yeah.
in the world. But other movie cars.
Okay. Other movie cars. so-
DB5. I definitely want an honorable mention for the DB5
Absolutely.
from Goldfinger.
One of
from
my- yeah.
No, not Doctor No.
It was from Goldfinger.
Just
Not Dr. No. No, so it started the very first time it came up was was Goldfinger.
Okay.
and it was introduced in that movie, and then it came back many, many, many times. And what we talked about, which was really hilarious, was Roger Moore never drove the DB5.
Yeah, Roger Moore never drove a DB5
in the James Bond movies.
But then in Cannonball Run,
yes, in
he
Cannonball
drove
Run,
a DB5.
Oh, well, if we're going to go there, then I would say the 77 Special Edition Trans Am that was in Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
That was legendary.
I am counting down my days till I can find one of those to drive because those are just so iconic, so cool.
They're fun. It was a very powerful car.
Yeah.
Now, steering-wise, yeah. And the hood scoop was real. So
it was a real shaker hood scoop.
Yeah. And you could jump bridges, evidently, with the
little known
Duke boys.
Okay, speaking
the
of
amount
the
of cars that they ruined for that movie was
oh my gosh,
pretty legendary.
The Dukes of Hazzard during their filming, I think I said this on a previous podcast.
I think you did.
The Dukes of Hazzard had such problems finding chargers. That they had a little Cessna airplane that would fly over interstates, and they had a runner car down below, and they'd say, "Hey, there's a charger coming up." That runner car would go find that charger, flag them down, and offer to buy the car on the side of the road. That's how desperate they were for these chargers.
Yeah.
And that's back in the day.
Yeah.
So chargers now are insane. Speaking of which, if you're looking for YouTube channels, forget his name, it's escaping me. But the guy who played the guy who played Bo Duke in the original TV series, the guy who played Bo, now has a YouTube channel just dedicated to the General Lee.
I think it was Larry Hagman.
No.
Larry Hagman. No. Oh, thank you.
It's Danny DeVito.
Thank you for doing this, because it was the blonde guy, right?
I think so.
Yes, it was
Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
Yeah,
no, not Rob. That was Deuce Bigelow, American Gigolo.
Could you imagine Rob Schneider and Danny DeVito doing a new Dukes of Hazzard
with a new Daisy?
Who would play the new Daisy?
John Schneider.
I think that is him. I think that's him.
You're right. It's John.
God, who would play the new Daisy Duke with Danny
I think
DeVito
that would be
and Rob Schneider?
Oprah. Oprah would play the new Daisy Duke.
Oh my God.
Oprah.
These boots are made for walking.
Mass exodus from the theaters.
No, that's
how about best
Nancy Sinatra.
Cars and music videos. Sabotage.
Sabotage.
Great cars.
Great cars, great songs, great music, everything.
But here's the thing.
All good.
I feel like music videos aren't really as big anymore.
Well, they're not. I mean,
there's no MTV.
Yeah,
I mean, like, the only reason music videos are big anymore, like, there are obviously music videos on YouTube that get millions upon millions of views.
Well, they're on YouTube.
Right.
But it's just because people just want to hear the song, so they just play the YouTube video on their phone or whatever while they're working. They're not watching. There's no real big craft in music videos anymore.
Well, Metallica's Fuel, but that was quite a few years ago. But Metallica's Fuel was a nice one. That was kind of an homage to like dragsters and stuff. So
let's talk about Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy. How about
what?
Yeah, he hates that album.
Okay. All right.
See, but I grew up because when was that album released? Chinese Democracy by Guns N' Roses.
Well, that was not really Guns N' Roses. So
okay.
Chinese Democracy. I think Axl Rose worked on that for 30 years.
What?
No, he did work on it for
30 years.
Like 8 years, actually.
Oh my gosh!
But
all right, finish it.
But Chinese didn't have Slash on it.
Oh.
And didn't have Duff.
See, that's the one that I grew up with, though, because it came out when
I can't even tell you one song.
Yeah, but that's also was
got a funny feeling.
Guitar Hero.
Yes. Oh my God.
So
Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
But Guitar Hero brought back all those things.
Well, Slash
but
there was a Aerosmith edition of Guitar Hero. That was just Aerosmith songs. Yeah.
Guns N' Roses Lies.
Yeah.
I used to love her, but I had to kill her.
Wow.
And now she's buried in my backyard.
Guns N' Roses.
And I can still hear her complain.
We took a dark turn.
We
took a dark turn.
Let me turn it around.
I'll bring the guitar next time.
I was sitting right here, Plymouth Rock, and I was playing Guitar Hero for the first time ever.
Not called Plymouth Rock.
I was playing Guitar Hero, and I zoned out. I remember I was thinking about Lake Shelbyville because we were going on vacation there.
Okay.
Really?
This was like
Okay.
2010 or something. I'm sitting there and
How
I'm
many
playing,
hallucinogens were you taking?
I was
at the
just
time?
going to say, there's some psychedelics
I was on
involved in this?
acid as a 10-year-old. I just came
Wow.
home from junior high.
Yeah,
So
I was
you
playing
took
it's
an
a
Rock
tough
acid?
day.
I was playing Rock You Like a Hurricane, and I zoned
Yeah.
out, and I kept playing the song perfectly, and I zoned back in, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was the weirdest moment because I was probably, I don't know, I was maybe 12. Like, I had never had muscle memory like that before. That was
Yeah,
very
it's amazing.
happens.
It's amazing, what your body does. I mean,
And now I disassociate while I'm going like 90 on the highway. I forget I'm alive. And I'm like, oh my god!
wow, I am so glad you told me that. I'm not going to worry about you.
You
now
don't
every
do
time
that. You're not driving a long distance and you start thinking about
I never
why
think,
the Earth is round
I
and
never
not a
think
cube.
of anything else but the road
He
and
doesn't
full
think of
concentration.
Me. He never thinks
I
of
don't
me.
think of anything.
I
at
learned
all.
about paying attention while driving, while riding with my Uncle Jack to Kansas, and he was making peanut butter sandwiches while driving with his knees.
Yeah. I used to drive a delivery truck, and I would be eating my lunch, talking on a bag phone, because this is when we had the bag phones.
Those are great.
Yeah.
I think they mess with your head a little bit.
Yeah,
Because they're
probably.
pretty strong.
Bag phone, and I had.
I don't like how you're just staring
No,
up
I
at
was-
the ceiling.
I thought there was a spider up there.
Oh yeah,
in Plymouth Rock.
Yeah.
So, no, but I was driving through a toll booth, eating my lunch, talking on the bag phone in a manual truck.
I
And-
always
While smoking a
bumping-
cigarette
Right. I
with
mean,
a
it was
stick
pretty
shift.
much- It was yeah. All of those
I
things.
always
together.
thought this story took place in the RX-7.
That story.
Yeah,
No, it
because
was-
you had told
no,
me
it was
that
a-
story before.
I know, but it was
it was a
delivery
manual
truck,
box
a manual
truck.
delivery truck. Yeah, it was a
Probably
delivery.
drove like the Model A,
It was a
floating gears.
job
it
was
was a
that?
Subaru. It was a Subaru.
Subaru box
No,
truck?
Mitsubishi.
Oh,
There it is.
I think I
Thank you.
know.
I was like, okay.
Yeah,
there we go.
Mitsubishi. No, it was a Mitsubishi. That was when I worked at CDS Plastics, and I used to deliver metal and
Wow.
plastic
Yeah,
parts.
because they make
was my job.
the Subaru
And it was-
sandbar. But
and not air conditioned. So
Wow,
that was a
nice.
fun summer.
crank windows.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yes. Crank windows.
I was
all
thinking of the
that.
Subaru sandbar, but that's
Yeah.
probably the size of this couch.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tiny. It's
All
a
right. Why would
Subaru
that's just not a very
sandbar.
good truck then?
No, it's not. It's
No.
not very good.
What movie was
So-
that in?
Yeah.
What?
Let's talk
The
about
Subaru
that.
Sandbar? I don't know. Probably a couple.
Movie
So-
vehicles.
Trying to
so,
think of
What are we talking
other-
about now?
Well,
so more movie
What
vehicles.
about Kit? I feel like Kit doesn't get much
yeah,
love anymore.
I liked Kit a lot, but
didn't love, just liked.
I thought it was cool. I liked it.
I hate
but
the steering wheel of it.
I didn't like David Hasselhoff.
Yeah,
sorry,
no one
sorry,
does.
Dave.
Oh.
Sorry, Hoff, whatever your name is.
Well, you're on a first name basis with
I-
him. Sorry, Dave.
Davey.
Davey. No,
Listen,
there's
Davey.
He was there when the wall came down, okay?
Was he?
So
All right. Yeah.
it's the Hoff.
The Hoff.
He had his gold
The
chain
Germans,
out.
the Germans
undershirt.
love the Hoff. Yeah.
There's a great YouTube
They're
channel
coming
called
to
Regular Car
America.
Reviews,
Yeah.
and they did a review of a Kit replica car,
Oh,
and it
Okay.
had the steering wheel that was just the two
yeah.
prongs on either side.
Yes.
And they're like, this is the worst experience in a car we've ever had because
Yeah.
you know how you go like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
spin
yeah,
your
yeah.
hand around
Spin your hand, yeah.
the circular
Yeah.
wheel? You can't really
No.
do that. You have to kind of like, it's like two fins. You have to
Yeah.
like slap it over
But
to
you
the
know
other
what
side.
would have been hilarious? If I had that car, this is what I would do. If I had that car, I would put that little ball on it that you use to,
Yeah.
you know, it's a little
Those
ball.
things
Yeah,
actually
you
did
spin
work
it
pretty
around. Yeah,
good.
so
Oh, they're
you
great.
spin it
Yeah,
around,
yeah, I know what you mean.
I would
now.
do that
Yeah.
for that and see problem solved. It's
Yeah, but
easy.
then you're not moving. You're not movie accurate.
Wow, okay, you just blew the VUs on that
Oh,
one.
sorry. The one dog sleeping on
Yep.
on
How
its
many dog biscuits you got there?
Yeah.
How many dog biscuits you
How many
pushing?
do-
We're
I
talking to the
put
dog and
you-
the dog only
they're
now.
cranking up to 0 here.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of more modern movie cars. But see,
Um,
that's the thing. There's not a whole lot of like
No.
star cars that are
Not a
so
ton.
iconic.
not a ton, but one of the things we've always talked about in these podcasts is almost every single car movie makes it. You can't go to a dollar bin
Right.
and find car movies
Yeah.
in the dollar bin. You just can't.
Oh.
Because, yeah.
Sorry, Lightning McQueen. I would say is like
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie
Yeah.
car from my
Yeah.
age, from my
I
generation.
don't remember that one.
From Cars, Lightning
Wait,
McQueen.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah.
cartoon
So
car.
Because
people
I'm
turn,
thinking
like-
Steven, I'm thinking Bullet,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay.
People
Yeah.
take like old like Chevy Luminas and like Chevy.
I was gonna say,
like Monte
has any,
Carlos and stuff,
build
and paint
one
them
like
red.
it. Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
put the ka-chow down the side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
number
you grew up
95.
on that.
Yeah. That.
I mean, that really shaped my generation. I
oh,
think.
sure,
And, like,
absolutely. Yeah.
even to this
yeah.
day on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, I see memes and jokes about the original movie Cars,
Yeah.
which
You-
came
you-
out 15 years ago. What's up?
You kids and your ticks and your talks and
My tick and my talk
your
too.
all that.
Do we want to place a bet if TikTok is still around
Ooh,
on
yeah,
Thanksgiving?
let's
Since it
see
keeps like
what else.
partially getting shut down by the Chinese government,
Really?
Oh, no, it'll be there.
it'll be
Little
there.
bit. Okay.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Everything good will prevail.
It's the best
Alrighty.
spy
All right.
thing you got.
Is
oh
it?
yeah,
Really?
yeah. I'm sure there's a million things
Oh, yeah.
on my phone now.
TikTok,
whatever.
Yeah, the
I-
applications. Before they used to just use a flashlight. Because you wanted, before Apple would put a flashlight on, they would have an app that was a flashlight, and they would
Oh,
just
yeah.
steal all your data.
Yeah. That's
So.
nice. It's good.
Oh, I didn't know they were
Good.
stealing my
Nice
data.
of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on my phone actually the other day, and like all my apps would just keep quitting, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm sure there's some guy in the Ukraine that's like closing out my apps
I
for
think
me.
you might as well believe that all of your data is completely stolen at this point.
That's the interesting thing about my generation, though, is
You guys
that
don't care.
we just fully know that
Yeah.
all like
Yeah.
okay, there's all these celebrities that keep getting canceled for like tweets that they said
Mhm.
or whatever, blah blah blah. My generation has just always known that everything online is permanent.
It
like
is
we've
permanent.
just
It is
grown up with the
permanent.
fact that like all of our information's out
Yeah.
there, all of our tweets are permanent. Anything we say is going to be recorded,
Yeah.
and we just don't care anymore. Like
Yeah.
really your parents' generation was like, I think there's a wiretap in this block
No,
of
it was,
cheese.
it was mine anyways. Is that well, it may not have been quite that drastic, but definitely the whole thing was like, oh, they're going to put a microphone in your house. Now
Yeah.
people get Amazon.
Yeah, they
echoes
literally
and-
buy their own. They buy their
That
own
is true.
wiretaps.
They
literally,
buy their own bugs. You're absolutely,
Absolutely.
right. They buy their own
people
bugs.
used to freak out about being bugged, and now it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I have 3
Yeah.
different bugs in my room. I have a Google Home, a
I
Amazon
was gonna
Alexa,
say,
and I
yeah.
have my phone.
and you get
Siri.
free email, and you go like, yeah, you can rifle through my stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's-
it
right.
is a very
it's very
Strange
different because
term.
I'm just fully accepted that like my information's out there,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
it is what it is.
it is.
It is.
100% my information's out
yeah.
there. I know for a fact. And there's probably more than 3 microphones recording this conversation right now.
Probably.
Well,
There-
probably they could.
I wonder if they've got better microphones.
Well, I don't think that's not a possibility. I think that's
I mean,
well.
all
No,
right,
you guys have the
These
good
are
microphones.
Nice.
I've
These
got
are good
this.
microphones.
I don't know what this even is.
Yeah. If you've been wondering why my dad's been
I got
speaking
2
in a
turntables
transatlantic
and a microphone.
Dateline Mount Fuji.
I
That's just
remember
him.
that. I
Yeah,
remember that.
The old Rooster Teeth. Shout out to Rooster Teeth for pretty much dissolving.
Yeah.
Rooster
Um,
Teeth.
Rooster Teeth, they did like video game videos and stuff like this. My dad and I went down to their convention in Austin, Texas in 2013.
Oh.
And it was like an internet like studio essentially. They did like a bunch of short films and stuff. And what? Did you break it?
No, this is a Shure microphone.
Really?
This is a.
Are you
Those are Shures too.
Sure.
I make jokes about you guys being
All right,
from
yeah.
the 1800s,
Yes.
but that microphone is literally from what, the 40s?
It has to be. It literally
Yeah, I
is your
would say-
great grandfather's. It's
We should put that in the
great-grandfather's.
Model A when we take
Yeah.
it to shows.
Yeah, you should. Well, we should. Yeah.
Just shove a bunch of like.
Yeah.
Make it a police car.
No. Yeah. So, oh, yeah. That'd
You
be
trade
fun.
the Cadillac for a microphone?
Well, yeah. I was gonna say we could hang this upside down and put a
That makes
giant,
sense.
giant speaker on top of the.
Oh,
so
yeah.
a bluesmobile.
You two girls.
An air raid
You over
siren.
An
there.
air raid siren.
You
and
know
a-
what?
Yeah.
On Facebook Marketplace,
Yeah.
a couple months ago,
Yeah.
there was a legitimate air raid siren for sale.
Wow.
And it was a Hemi V8 ran air raid siren that could be heard up to 15 miles. Like the radius was 15 miles.
Wow.
And I always
Wow.
think about that because I'm almost in Chicago when I hit 15 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just one air raid siren could be heard from my house
Yeah.
Yeah.
all the way over here,
That's
which is
Wow.
insane.
crazy.
But
Yeah.
they never really give the specs of that speaker on the Bluesmobile, do they?
No, but it's
No.
actually fairly. We used to have one like that. We used to have a microphone like
No
that
way,
one that was in.
big.
The one that was. Oh no, that's a speaker. You're
I'm
talking
thinking
about the
speaker
microphone.
oh, did I say microphone?
You said microphone. The
I'm not good at
microphone that
words.
was hanging down on a string, basically, that was run from the side to side. We used to have one that looked exactly like it. But yeah, I know I sound like I'm probably like in a tin can because I'm actually on an ultra microphone. But
how many squad cars in Blues Brothers did they destroy?
Wasn't it like 105 cars?
Yeah, it was like a lot. Yeah, we talked about
because it actually held the record for several years of most cars destroyed in filming. You should go back and listen to episode 1. Actually isn't even released yet. We've made all of these podcasts without releasing a single one.
Yes, we haven't released this yet, so we don't know.
But yeah, hopefully you guys like. I mean, what if no one listens to these? Or
we got to find out when it's going to drop.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that we're hoping and guessing and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
so
we're just running on hopes and dreams and
fumes.
But thank God we've sunk in some of our own money into it.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
by we I mean my dad.
Yeah, well, we no, we were saying that in our second or third episode that we built an entire studio.
Oh yeah,
and that we're flying Lear jets around.
We're
now
moving to Austin, Texas, to be with all the big podcasters.
The success,
and
the success,
$1 million studio.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no.
Do we want to make a prediction on Elon Musk? You think he's going? What new thing has he done now?
Elon Musk. He.
I'm going to say he leaves Tesla.
Really?
I think that's actually a fairly safe bet, actually.
Oh, you think? I'm just throwing that out.
I think he's actually going to focus more on
SpaceX.
SpaceX, yeah. I think he's actually going to do that because evidently the government is paying him a whole goo-gob ton of money.
Oh, if you're in with the government, you're good.
Yeah.
Well, he had the best response because having done a lot of trade shows and been on stage for stuff, he had the best response when the ball went through the window.
Yeah.
It was just the way he handled it was perfect because I could give you a whole ton of videos where the CEO or whatever did not handle it well. And then those become viral.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Steve Ballmer and all that stuff. With Elon's, it's just...
That's probably the good thing is that I don't remember what he said.
Yeah, I don't remember what he said either.
He's just kind of well, that happens. It's like, well, we didn't test throwing the ball through the window.
Yeah, well, I do remember seeing that clip, but I don't remember what he said, and it was like no big deal.
I remember.
And that's why it's genius.
Yeah.
Because it didn't destroy things.
Well, what I was taught very early on and from a friend of mine who was my sensei when it comes to computer programming, he basically said, no.
He said never. No, always.
No, always. No, actually, now that I remember, it was my boss, and she said...
Never mind. This was Pickles the hobo, who told me one time.
Oh, my God.
Coming out of a fever dream.
No, she said once, if you're giving a demonstration, just say, watch this. Don't say what you're going to actually show them.
Oh, that's actually good advice.
Because a lot of times it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up.
Say, watch this. The ball goes through and be like, look, it's glass.
Exactly.
I always start my demos out with that. No time do my fingers leave my hands.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Yes, that's a great one. Yeah, yeah. I think I was recently in a demo and it went horribly wrong, and it was and everything did not work, and the guy was fumbling through it, and I was just like, just say.
I shouldn't get this on tape, but I should say that.
Are we taping this?
Yeah, and I love the fact that people still use the terms tape, film.
Tape, film,
It's like, you have an iPhone. That's not filming anything.
No, I call it
recording.
Recording is good.
I haven't shot on film in years.
Yeah. But I call them
Thank
movies
goodness.
because I don't usually call them films because of
I feel like films is such the pretentious way of
pictures.
Oh, I'm watching. Oh my!
Pictures is the most.
Well, that's if you're either 95 or you're way overpaying for film school, so you feel the right to call them pictures.
Pictures, yes.
Yeah, that was a good investment.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Now it's like, okay. anything you learn there doesn't really apply anymore.
Yeah,
so.
it's crazy.
Just go
That
to-
is a whole.
Was it
new-
Riot? No, what?
Film Riot?
Film Riot.
Film
yeah,
Riot.
Just look up a
Yeah,
Film Riot tutorial. It's like free film school.
The truth is, you just have to do it.
You
It's
just-
one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
things you
There's
just
no
have to do.
two ways
And
about
that's what
that.
radio and stuff is too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole thing of this podcast. We talk about doing a podcast for so long. It's like, let's just sit and record it. Yeah, they're going to suck.
Well,
Like, it's us. They're going to
we-
suck, but
yeah,
let's
we
just
did that.
do it at least.
Well, and we have gotten better and better. We did get better equipment. I know it's not a ton of equipment. It's not a big expense, but we did get better and better.
Well, the Plymouth Rock Studios have got pretty.
I know you couldn't tell by the 3 bodyguards and the X-ray scanner that
Right.
you walk through on
Yes.
the way in here.
Yeah,
but-
high tech. Yeah. No, we.
It was nice you sent that limo out to get.
Oh, well, it's the least we could do.
Kind
It
of
is
like that.
Hydrogen limo, too.
Looked like that dog thing from Dumb and Dumber, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Thought
we
you were
custom tailor them
Did
to
the
each of our guests.
did the limo driver ask you if you've ever heard the most annoying sound in the world and give you that annoying sound? So yeah, that's how we employ that. But no, I think that one of the cool things that I have learned recently is just to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're good at that, Zach, because you started your YouTube channel
Yeah,
just doing it.
yeah.
And
My
that's
first
the main
video
thing.
sucked. My second video sucked.
It's
My
supposed
third
to.
video
It will.
sucked.
It's supposed to.
Actually,
video.
this recording for like my kids or my grandkids or whatever,
Yeah.
one of them might be interested at some point.
Well, okay.
It was like, yeah, so Grandpa had these cars and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that-
and
Yeah,
I've never gone through because actually I was thinking of doing something similar, but with my jobs.
Oh
So
yeah,
if I-
yeah.
do
That
it.
would be fun to do.
honestly, it's not a bad idea to just start talking into a microphone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking like on
'Cause-
my drive.
It's so. Oh,
well,
yeah,
you have a
it's-
Zoom, don't you? I mean, you have a. Nice...
I have a Zoom, but it's back in
Okay.
Colorado.
Yeah.
The other thing I heard Steve. You guys know Steve-O from Jackass?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
He was
yeah.
on a podcast, and he was talking. Or no, he was actually on the show Hot Ones. Have you ever watched Hot Ones?
No.
It's
No.
the show where they eat spicy wings and they get hotter
Oh,
and hotter
you
and
told me
hotter.
about
I've
that.
heard
You,
about
you and
that.
the
It's a
boys, yeah.
really
Yeah.
interesting show, and
Right.
it's a good new take on interview shows. But he was talking about how cavemen used to draw cave drawings, like in the caves, knowing, like, with the idea behind those was that those cave drawings would outlive them and
Yeah.
show what what society was like. And so Steve-O says that's how he goes into all of his video projects of, I'm not making this for now.
Right.
I'm making it
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it'll inspire the kid
Yep.
100 years from now, or whatever format that is. The kid 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and so people can see, like, it the longevity of it rather than
Yeah, what I wouldn't give to have the reel-to-reel tape
Yeah.
of just recording goofy stuff with Grandma and Grandpa and stuff.
Oh yeah. That would be pretty awesome.
yeah.
Um.
And their travel logs and
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
partially
that's
a lucky thing of my grandpa, your guys' dad, was in such the public eye that you can Google
Yeah.
it and you can find recordings of him
Oh,
if
yeah.
you really want recordings of him.
but they're not personal.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah.
thing. It definitely isn't personal, but
Yeah.
I mean, how many people out there don't even have recordings of their parents' voice?
That's true. That is true.
You know.
That's true.
Yeah. That
Now,
is.
I mean, I have like 18 hours of my
But-
dad's voice on my computer now.
The issue,
Oh, that's right.
Thanks,
Yeah, you
thanks
do.
for
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
Ugh.
Yeah, you're welcome.
but the issue is you got to have you have to have the medium is always changing.
Mm-hmm.
So like before, if you record on tape or something, it's like, oh, now where do I get a tape?
You got to
player?
keep converting it. And obviously,
Yeah.
right now, I'm like, oh, an MP3 file, that's never not going to be able to be
Yeah.
played.
It will.
Oh,
In
yeah,
10
that's
years,
true. Yeah,
they're
10
going to be
years,
like,
it's-
MP3, what are you,
MP
poor?
Right. Well, but
Right.
in that part, it doesn't even matter if it's bad quality. It's the matter of that you can actually still get to it.
Right.
Because like the old
Yeah.
2-inch tape
Yes.
on
Yes.
the broadcast.
That's what I'm saying, because I bought a new iMac last summer for work.
Okay.
It doesn't have a CD drive.
Yeah.
So I found a bunch of old CDs in our
Mhm.
workroom and
Yep.
stuff
Yep.
of photos, because
Yep.
when you used to be able to go to Walgreens, they'd give you the films and then they give it to you on a CD.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I could just dump all of these onto a hard drive
Right.
Right.
and then
Yeah.
throw the CD away or whatever. Actually, probably it's honestly smart to keep.
You'd
keep
want to
the
archive
CD.
it. It'd be a good idea.
But then I brought it upstairs to my room and I'm like, oh, I don't have a CD drive. I don't even have a FireWire input in my computer. So the old V8, the high 8 camera,
yes,
I can't FireWire into my computer. I don't know how I'm going to convert that now.
it is one of the things that I can convert it for you. I mean, but we have generations of machines that we've kept. I have for the very.
I do the same thing. That's why I'm laughing.
We have tin types in the the workroom.
For the very
the Martin Luther printing press.
Right. Yes. Exactly. We have, but we actually have cassette players. We have a turntable, we have not an old turntable, but it's a turntable.
I have a VHS player,
VHS
and
player,
a DVD player.
I have a super VHS player.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa. Silence fills the room.
Wow. No, it's
and the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, and a bunch of old cameras, only for the cameras only to play the tapes so that we could eventually put them on something else.
Right.
Yeah.
We used to have that big over-the-shoulder VHS camera, but it was ruined in our flood.
Yes.
It sat in about 6 inches of water.
Yeah. Although that is a camera I would like to get another one, and you can still buy them on eBay.
I want to get one of those and pull the guts out of it, and then just get like a new modern 4K sensor that's like the size of a penny, and just put it behind the lens.
That's all you got to do.
And then just record in 4K.
People
but
have done that.
The big shoulder.
People have done
retro mod.
I've watched
like
people
a Hackintosh.
on the YouTube, which I don't know if it still exists when you're listening to this podcast.
What's YouTube? What is that?
What is this?
YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
Is it all about PVC piping? Why is it tube?
And why is it in a U shape? Yeah.
That brings up a good point, though. Are
What's
kids
that?
going to understand why it's YouTube?
No, probably not.
It's tube TV, like TVs.
Tube.
Like it was like UTV.
Well, yeah,
but
you used to call TV the tube. because
Right.
you watched
If you're
the
a
tube.
guitar player, what kind of amp do you want? You want a tube amp.
Yeah, you want a Marshall tube amp.
Oh.
But
Yeah, this is because the sound quality is not matched by anything.
Yeah.
it's a totally different sound. It really is. Yeah,
beautiful.
there's
The
no doubt about it.
save icon
Or Randall
on
is a good
Microsoft products is a floppy disk.
It is.
Does anyone know what the heck that is anymore?
Right.
What is carbon copy?
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, CCing.
That
Carbon
is true.
copying.
Oh,
By the way-
CCU.
Also,
What does that mean?
also, this is
Yeah.
horribly visual.
Blue ink.
But my friends.
I love the smell of that, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
No, that was the
Mimeograph?
mimeograph.
Mimeograph. Sorry.
Microfiche.
Microfiche.
That's how
Did you know
coming all the way back. That's how I got my MR2
I was just about to
schematics,
say,
which were on microfiche.
There's RX-7 groups and stuff where people have scanned in microfiches of it, and it's pretty intense.
That's pretty cool. What were you going to say?
I forgot what I was. Oh, my friend is a 4th grade teacher,
Yeah.
and she was saying that kids no longer do this when they're going to take a picture. You can't see it through the podcast, but basically, like, I guess form a C and then click with your upper pointer finger.
It's what you would do with an old Kodak Instamatic camera.
Right. Now kids go like this. They just move their thumb because that's how you take a picture on an iPhone.
Got it. Yeah.
Oh my
And
god!
kids
totally
don't
changed.
extend their fingers and put it up to their ear anymore.
Yeah.
Because phones don't flip out. They go like this. They just put their palm up against their ear.
Really?
Because that's how you hold
Yeah.
an iPhone.
Yeah.
You're not going like this anymore. Flip phones were my age.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
This part of the
crazy.
podcast is great for audio. By
Oh
the
yeah,
way.
this
So-
is just yeah.
If you were here, you'd see.
Yeah, you'd understand you're at Plymouth Rock.
It'd make a lot more sense. Yeah, if you're out here.
But yeah, older technology and such. There's actually a couple of really good YouTube channels that go into older technology of cameras
Yes.
and stuff.
Yes, there are.
Traffic lights. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the fact that I know about these things actually is bothersome. 16 millimeter projectors that our grandfather used to let us thread the projector.
We have
and-
one. We have one.
Do we really?
Yeah, we have a 16 millimeter.
Do
we
we
have
have
an
a Super
8
8
millimeter.
camera?
Yes, we have a Super 8
You
camera.
guys will never know the pleasure of film strips.
Film strips.
We need to talk after the podcast. I think I want to take the Super 8 camera on the road this summer.
Urban plate or urban blight?
You could take. We have two, so you could take either one.
Nice.
You could take the one that
You have a
I
Super 8
shot.
that still works?
Yeah.
And you can still get the film developed?
You can.
You have
There,
to
there
Where do you
are
buy film?
Wait.
facilities.
From what I remember, you have to send it out to a place in Colorado.
Might be California, but yeah.
Oh.
But yes, you can
Still
buy it.
PC.
You can buy it, and you can actually. Now it's funny because you can buy it. You can also buy the developing with it and the
Easy for you to say.
Digitalization.
Digitization.
What's funny
Yeah, altogether.
is that my friends and I
It's very expensive.
recently we went out
Very
and we
expensive.
had a whole day of shooting on Polaroids. We
Yeah.
all got Polaroid cameras, and we had a fun day of running around
That's fun.
a town a couple towns over, and we just shot on Polaroids, and then we have all these pictures from this day.
Didn't you go to Krispy Kreme? Or is that a different trip?
Definitely different trip.
Okay.
And
That's
super
all I think about
non-speci-
is Krispy Kreme. That's all I think
Yeah, no, that was a totally different trip.
about. Okay.
But no, we looked for an abandoned airplane that was supposedly in this one spot, but then was removed.
This
Was this
airport.
Was this a fever dream or was this?
Yes, I've been meaning to tell you guys. I've been tripping on acid.
Okay, all right.
No, but it was funny because my friend found his parents have smoked cigarettes for like 90 plus years.
And what are these cigarettes?
They're
'Cause-
little. So you know, like a vape
Vaping?
pen.
Yeah.
Think of like a
vaping-
paper
vape
pen.
pen. Vape pen. Got it.
And so they were part of the Marlboro Rewards program, and they smoked so much they got three Polaroid cameras, one of which is still new in the packaging, and it's the Polaroid
Wow.
Business Edition.
I would think that smoking is its own reward.
But
Well,
anyway,
you
so
set
he
'em up
found
for
this
that
camera.
one.
Yeah.
My friend Tyler got me a Polaroid for Christmas, and it was fun to go out, and we're like, look at these, like, Polaroids are so cool. Like, we were rediscovering old technology, which was just
Shake
so
it.
fun.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
You're
And
not
actually,
supposed
don't
to
do
shake
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not. Yeah,
also,
you're not supposed
a little 2020 or 2021 spin on the Polaroids. It says on the back, "Do not put in your mouth." Don't know why they had to do that, but there is a reason. There is some kid in Virginia that
don't
ate
put it-
one
yeah.
and now
Yeah.
died or
Yeah,
is,
probably.
you know.
Well, that actually kind of makes some sense because
Sure.
it's got
Yeah,
who's
chemicals.
expecting the chemicals, to be
Yeah.
on there, and you
Yeah,
just
but
hold
also,
it for a
why are
second.
you putting it in your mouth?
Well, if you're
I guess, okay, to hold the
Yes,
corner of it.
exactly.
See, when someone is
Yeah.
like, don't put it in your mouth, I just assume like, "Wah!"
Okay.
Like this.
Yeah, it's like toaster. Don't use in the tub.
Yeah.
right, yeah, there's that too. So absolutely.
Do we have
All
any
right.
other movie cars? Wait, what time are we at?
We're we said goodbye about an hour ago.
Are you serious?
No, it's 2:33, so we're at yeah.
That is the Midwestern
Gary,
goodbye.
Can we
A, B,
warn
and
the
C.
affiliates we're going long?
The affiliate. Yeah, remember when there was actual like broadcasting and everything?
Should
It's
we put an intermission in this and like then
We could.
just like
Go on
food
out
and
to the
drink.
lobby.
Dun-dun-dun.
Go
Yeah.
on out to the lobby.
Any more movie cars you guys want to talk about? Any more? That's the thing.
You know, I know you guys already talked. The Herbie the Love Bug was
Yep.
great. and,
Yep. Great.
I think it was because the car was also accessible.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yep,
a big thing
yep,
too. But something you just don't see anymore is like in new movies you don't see an accessible hero. Like I said, there was a Herbie on every block
Right.
back in the day, but now, I mean, what's a super accessible car? A Toyota Corolla. You don't
yes.
see a sentient Toyota Corolla.
Not often. So
But then, because there's also the thing of souping up a car, like
yeah.
customized.
Yeah.
Now
that just
people
doesn't-
don't really. The idea of
You-
customizing cars.
You throw in a chip, a mod chip.
Well, yeah,
to-
but
to-
anything that you would visualize, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Warshawskis
Oh yeah,
would have the
Wachowski.
chain steering
Yeah.
wheel.
Oh
like
yeah,
Well, I
chain-
think it's
chain
almost
steering.
gotten
up in smoke. That Impala.
Yes.
It had
I
yes.
don't
like
know what you're talking
The
about.
there was a
lowrider?
fringe around the top. It
Oh.
was
The lowrider.
It was a lowrider. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think modifying has actually become so easy that it's no longer cool, if
But
that makes sense.
nobody
Yeah, it's-
modifies the. You're right. Certain modifications are super easy, but other
Chop your
modifications,
exhaust off.
nobody does body modifications.
No,
Yeah, not really.
It's just not
that's a
really-
lot of work. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is.
My generation
tremendous
just isn't into that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
But I
That
don't
is
blame
true.
them because
yeah.
there's not a whole lot of reason to do
I think we were also kind of ruined by the Duraflex phase, where
Flex
different brand than what you're thinking.
Flex tape?
No, where like body kits became real popular in the 2000s, right? You could buy bumpers
Oh
and stuff,
yeah,
big body kits.
yeah.
But then there was the Duraflex, which
The
looked
dirt.
exactly like the body kits, but made out of the thinnest plastic ever. And when they ship it to you, they fold your bumper in half to put it in the box. And
you
literally,
serious?
I had a friend who's just like, you just leave it out in the sun for a little bit and it re-expands. And they never fit properly. They were the most flimsy thing. You go over one speed bump and you see it's like a skirt going up. It's like, this thin piece of plastic. It's like made out of red Solo Cup material. Never fit perfectly. You always had to make your own bolt holes on it. And so kids, but you could get, a full body kit for $150.
Really?
Unpainted?
Okay,
yeah.
Well, you get what you pay
so
for.
then but you toss it on.
Yeah.
Car looks terrible, and then it just associates.
$9.99.
Yeah, 99.99.
I mean, no one knows.
I can't talk.
No one knows Bondo anymore.
No, but
no one my age knows what Bondo is.
Bondo is an art.
Bondo was an art. I did not have that skill. Mine looked like crap.
It is but it's one of those things where you have to do it a ton of times. Yeah. You really have to do it over and over and over and over, and that's the same thing with painting. Painting a car is just a tremendous art. There's
a finesse to it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's no two ways about it. It's
all right.
amazing.
That is now our longest.
I think so.
I'm cutting it off here. It's our jeez, I can't even talk
Lorena
anymore.
Bobbitt.
Mashed potatoes are getting to me. I don't even understand that reference. I'm just going to keep moving forward.
See, that's
Wait, what'd you say?
Like Lorena Bobbitt.
Who's that?
Sure, boy.
Google it.
Google it.
Or
yes.
Bing it.
Bang.
We're trying to get sponsors here. Or Bing.
Or Bing.
Bing.io, baby.
Or DuckDuckGo Goose or whatever.
DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo's a good one.
DuckDuckGo.
See, DuckDuckGo.
Shout out sponsors.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
She told me.
If you are still listening to this point, God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you and
If
your
the
family.
Wake up!
The dogs have fallen asleep.
Should we set off like an iPhone alarm to just jolt everyone away?
Let's put another log on the fire, though.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is
Mother, can we have some more pumpkin pie?
Oh, my God.
that we would
some orange juice.
Sure, that we would actually be, served.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yes. All right.